Otherwise, it will be an escapist of reality, and you are going to subject our people to more suffering. Because now it's about survival for the fittest. Those with the deeper pockets are surviving better. Those with nothing, they are almost getting extinct from the Kenyan economics. You said we are becoming escapees from reality, and Mheshimiwa Abdul Kore, at this point I introduce you, and as the Azimio side has really had a couple of minutes of proper beating the Kenya Kwanza side, especially on matters debt. And as we wait for Mheshimiwa Geoffrey Ruku to make this conversation balanced, I'll give you time to, first of all, karibu sana to AM Live.
Thank you very much.
Your colleagues are commenting on some of the stories that are making headlines today, and we have spoken about the debt and the new reality that what we are using to pay our debts is now surpassing our recurrent and development expenditure. This at a time when Kenya Kwanza, which you serve in, is in government. In fact, the Daily Nation says that in the first 1 year of President William Ruto, the debt burden has increased by 21%. That as compared to 10 years of President Kenyatta, 386%, and 10 years of President Kibaki at 182%. What is your quick thoughts?
My quick thoughts are, well, these are very extraordinary times. And apologies for arriving late in the first place, but because of some traffic, I stay a bit far. I found my colleague talking about the debt issue, and one thing I liked about his contribution is the fact that we need to look at this as a country. We are in this together, and if we sink deeper, we'll all sink together, and if we come out of it, we'll all come out of it together. Well, the 21% debt increase in 12 months may look like something like very huge, but I believe with a number of measures the government has already put in place, some of it a bit painful to begin with, but once we realize the fruits of some of those measures at the end of the first 5 years term, or maybe at the end of the 10 years term, I think that's when we can see a proper comparison between the President Kibaki, President Kenyatta, and President Ruto as to who actually had the debt, increase highest during their term. Now it's only 12 months. We know we inherited a country, or rather this government came into power at a very extraordinary time when the country was facing a lot of challenges, not just economically. Even, we just came out of drought. And when we went into election, for example, in my constituency, only 60% turned up to vote because most of the other 40% were out looking for pasture in neighboring countries. We came out of a very difficult contextual circumstances as a country, and then the issues going on around the globe has also not helped matters. So we are in very extraordinary times, and we know we are in a lot of challenges. Kenyans, the Kenyan shilling is becoming less valuable as compared to the dollar, and the cost of living is becoming higher. And the government is concentrating on a number of areas to make sure some of these issues are arrested. And it's only with the fullness of time that we'll be able to gauge whether those measures that the government has put in place has actually borne fruit or not. But yes. But as you say about only in the fullness of time is when we'll be able to gauge. If you were to gauge Kenya Kwanza on its own promises and on its own targets, then it would be fair to say that it has been a fail, because Kenya Kwanza set its own target in 3 months' time, in 100 days' time, in 1 year's time. Most of the things said against these targets or these deadlines have not been met. So when you say in the fullness of time, what exactly do you mean? When do we expect to start reaping? I think you can start gauging Kenya Kwanza's performance maybe at the end of 5 years, because there is an election manifesto Kenya Kwanza committed itself to, and I think by and large Kenya Kwanza is trying its best to make sure it fulfills that election manifesto. The other bit is about election rhetoric during campaigns. What politicians say during campaigns off the cuff and to the people. Sometimes when you try and gauge that and mistake it for the election manifesto that a coalition has committed itself to, it might be a little bit confusing. So in the fullness of time, let's look at 5 years, and I know President Ruto will be re-elected. Then let's see at the end of 10 years.
All right. Thank you very much. And that is Abdul Kore, Member of Parliament, Mandera South.
You did not tell him. You know, he's admitting something, that they lied to Kenyans. Because when you say, what politicians say...
Election rhetoric.
Yeah, that is wrong, because...
Off cuff.
Yeah. yeah. Judges on our election manifesto, not on the electoral rhetorics.
We are coming to the good members of Parliament in a couple of minutes, but we are still looking at some of the top stories making the first page of the Daily Nation. Increased fee school cash for each learner. The Kenya National Union of Teachers demands, and NAT wants, a significant increase in funds that the government allocates for each learner in primary and junior secondary school, saying the current allocation are too low for schools to meet their programs. NAT SG Collins OU contended the current allocations are causing school heads financial distress. Then another story still on the front page of the Daily Nation. This should be Nziu, not Nzui. River Nziu crossing still incomplete years after tragedy claimed 32 lives. This is a story that has been done by Margaret Kimathi and our team there, and they speak about long before the raging waters of River Nziu claimed the lives of 32 people heading to a wedding party in December 4th, 2021. The danger always lurked. Residents had always feared for the worst, but again, they had hoped that a proper bridge would be constructed. And again, still on the front page of the Daily Nation, there is a story happening on the sidelines of COP in Dubai, and higher fuel prices on the cards as President Ruto pushes for new carbon tax. To give you a brief on that story, the cost of fossil fuel and travel could rise should an ambitious new carbon tax proposal fronted by President William Ruto at the COP28 summit in Dubai, UAE, sails through. The proposal seeks to compel fossil fuel companies and industries that emit greenhouse gases to pay for the damage that their operations cause to the planet. Be sure to grab a copy of the Daily Nation if you want that and very many other stories that have been written by our team of stellar reporters here and writers at the Nation Media Group. But I want us to move to the Standard members, and this is because there is a very interesting headline on the Standard, and it says, experts say Kibaki would be shocked at Rutonomics. The kicker on the story, economists say President Ruto claims of copying former President Mwai Kibaki's economic playbook seem not to be working, as his policies and interventions point in the opposite direction, leaving Kenyans desperate and hurting. Pages 4 and 5. Then there is that percentage. They've quoted 10.5% interest. The CBK rate is at 10.5%, up from 7.2% in July 2022. Since then, it has been on a steady climb. I'll start with you. Let me start with Mwenje. President William Ruto has time and again, including his deputy, said we are going to run this government and take it to where President Kibaki left it, and perhaps even better. Now, experts, according to the Standard, and the stories on page 4 and 5, are saying that President Kibaki would be shocked at Rutonomics.
Well, first of all, let's make it clear that President Kibaki was a real economist. And unfortunately, President Ruto just doesn't get how Kibaki ran the government. If you start with just what is on the headline, the 10.5%, which is the CBK rate, all you need to do is go back and see what Kibaki's rate was. I think it was always below 3%. That was the rate that Kibaki insisted. And why? Kibaki refused to even borrow locally. He wanted the local banks to lend to the private sector within the economy so that the private sector can build itself. So he let the private sector, even if it's like this issue of housing, if Kibaki were here today, he would have left that to the private sector. You handle this issue. You raise the money, build, and do all those things. That is why it is so, that's why you're saying the comparison that has been put here between Kibaki and President Ruto. More importantly, once you've addressed the issues of interest rates And that means that the banks today, cooperative bank, equity bank, prefer lending to the government because they consider that to be less risky as compared to lending it to the private sector. And of course, the returns that they get, you know, if you are to assume Equity Bank were to lend out $1 billion to the public, that means they have to open branches all over the country. They have to get people who will go and sell those loans, you know, and get people to take those loans. So you create a whole economy just by lending this $1 billion to the private sector. If you're lending this $1 billion to the government, then you only need one person. The MD himself will just approve and say, we're lending this to the bank. There's a team of lawyers who just draft some papers there, and that's it. Done. Remember, if you can remember properly, in 2003, 2004, and even as late as 2011, 2013, when Kibaki was coming to clear, if you would have walked right down here at KCB, where KCB is, there were tents that had been put up there with banks trying to get loans. That was the time when banks were saying, as long as you have a pay or you have a salary, you can borrow even up to 1 million Kenya shillings so that you can do whatever you want to do with it. Because the banks just had money and needed to just offload it off to people. So, to me, the way the government has done is that it's completely moved away from the Kibaki era economic model of low interest rates. Go and get, let the private sector borrow locally so that we're not in competition. I, as an individual, if I want to borrow from a cooperative bank, I cannot compete with the government. The government is way bigger and stronger. So you don't have money available within our economy. Two, you've raised our taxes to the level that investors are now staying away. Businesses are now collapsing. During Kibaki's time, it was about, it's not about increasing taxes. It was about pulling more people to come into the tax base. Right now, as you can see, the taxes that every individual was paying as of last year, right now, even yourself, go look at your payslip. Right now, you'll see you have more deductions, and more are still coming. We have more that are still going to come.
However, Muhesh,
we have to change. We have to change that, because if you tax a country the way it's happening right now, then we won't have money to go around within the private sector. And believe you me, the private sector is where we are going to build this country.
However, Muhesh, I mean, there are only two ways that a country can raise its revenue. One, taxation. Two, borrowing. So if we keep complaining whenever taxation is happening, from my take would be, then let's still pay for the taxes, but follow and ensure there is accountability in the taxes that are being collected. Because President William Ruto says, we have borrowed enough, we need to, you know, get our own revenue. In fact, you can see efforts from the government to try and expand the people who are paying taxes. They have, KRA has people who are going out there to get into businesses and enroll people to paying taxes. Then is it not too early to fault President Ruto on these taxation matters, especially given the tough situation that the country is operating in right now?
To me, I completely disagree. If we're in a tougher situation, what any country should be doing is lowering those taxes. When you increase them already, you have somebody who's trained.
But you lower the taxes, you lose the revenue.
No. There's this illusion that if you continue, in fact, let me break it down to you. At 0% taxes, then the country is collecting nothing. If you tax people at 100%, you'll also collect nothing, because nobody will do business. We have to be somewhere there in between. In economics, there's a curve that exists, that you get to a point where if you tax people, and that's what's happening right now, that you've taxed people to the point that you're no longer collecting more. You'll stagnate, because the more you increase taxes, a few people are able to pay those taxes, but some of the other people decide to even walk away from business. So you'll find you're at the same place. You just look at even with these increases that happened, you can be sure right now KRA is not even hitting the targets that they thought they were going to hit, because people are pulling out.
That is true.
So we have to, we cannot increase our taxes anymore. And don't forget that the cost of living, the commodities, when you're buying petrol, you're buying cooking oil and all these things, the prices are still going up. So whichever way you look at it, we are now at the point where the curve will start going down. That even if we increase the taxes, KRA will never meet its target.
Will never meet its target. That is true, because we have actually reported it here at the Nation of KRA not meeting its target. Payee, for instance, and including fuel. People have left their vehicles at home. That
actually,
we have spoken about.
Just before Basil comes in, I'll tell you, I'm an employer. I've got a law firm. I've got a business somewhere. When some of these taxes came in, we as employers had to make some tough decisions, because at some point you think, we might have to lay off a few people so that whatever money they have, we will distribute to cover the housing levy and all these things. Because don't forget, these taxes affect both the employer and the employee.
Sure. Basil.
You know, I agree with my brother Mwenje here. The curve he was mentioning is called Lava's curve. Basically, when you increase taxation, you actually reduce disposable income for your people. And even some people hold on their money. And when you increase more taxes, particularly what happened when we passed the Finance Act, of course, when Kenya Kwanza passed the Finance Act, ideally banks ended to raise interest to be able to remain afloat, to generate profits. So these are some of the ripple effects of the Finance Act. So what Kibaki did when he inherited the government, he did not increase taxes. When you cut taxes, ideally you increase the tax base and you create disposable income for your people. Kibaki was not the first person to do this. We had a president in the United States called Ronald Reagan. He did the same. He used the Lava's curve of taxation model, where you cut taxes, you allow your people to be able to have disposable income, and you create incentives for your people. Basically, once you create incentives, people spend more. And that is where you're able to generate more revenue for your country. But when you increase more taxes, you scare investors. Those with little, you create a panic mood in the economics. And as a result, even your tax collecting authority cannot generate the revenue it is targeted to collect. And that is where we are today. So what President Ruto should have done is he should have done some literature review to look at other countries who are in the situation we are in, what they did. And I've given an example like United States. In 1961, Ronald Reagan used the Lava's curve, where he cut taxes for his citizens. And as a result, people were able to spend more, and he was able to generate more for its people. Kibaki did the same. Now, if you continue adding tax, I've just read you even bringing the carbon emission tax, which is even going to worsen the situation. You cannot say you are going to tame the carbon emission by introducing the carbon tax. Remember, even the government itself is not doing anything to reduce carbon emission. The gasless cars, all ministers, all state agencies are using gasless. So if you purport to bring a carbon emission tax, targeting manufacturers and the people who are supposed to generate employment and wealth for your people, then it means they're even going to run to Tanzania immediately. And this is the kind of strategies which anyone is asking himself or herself, who are the advisors of President Ruto? Because they seem to be hypothetical economists. They don't seem to resonate with the reality. Because if they were resonating with the reality, they would advise the head of state in the right way. But what is going on is going to be worse unless they rethink their decision.
Correct.
Otherwise, we are losing. Do you know Tanzania is surpassing Kenya? Look at the way our currency is performing against Tanzania. By last year, Kenya shillings were exchanging at 22 shillings to Tanzanian shillings. Now it has dropped to 15 shillings. What does that mean to not ordinary Kenyans and Kenyans who are trending in Tanzania? So very soon we'll be talking of 10 shillings, and below that we are talking of 0 to 10. And eventually our economics will be now talking of the economic powers to be Tanzania as opposed to Kenya, which we have enjoyed since 1961.
When we come back, I'm told by John we have to take a break, but when we come back we'll start with you, Abdul Korea, and I think I'll give you double the time so that because Ruku is not getting here. We hope he'll be here by the time we are coming from the break, but we take a break here on AM Live. We are having that conversation on the state of the nation right now, looking at the headlines, but later on, in a couple of minutes, we shall be getting into our main topic, which is beating the referendums. These are drums of a plebiscite that will be coming if we are to implement what is in NADCO. But you are watching AM Live here on NTV. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. Don't go too far.
Botswana stands tall as a shining example of democratic values and good governance in Africa.
Hivyo vipeni vyako kidogo ndo umeamua uviharibu kwa mambo yasiyokuwa na maana. Oh please. Sina muda saizi. I'm busy. Unaweza enda?
Mama. Kama ungekuwa umelea Tony kama mtoto wako wa kuzaa, haungekuwa unaingilia mambo yake ya muhimu kama haki ya kumchagulia bibi.
Hautamuongelesha mama hivyo.
Ningekushauri hivi. Badala ya kujali uamuzi wangu, shughulikia ndoa yako.
Unajua unachosema wewe?
Watch out for Safaricom Santa coming to a town near you with Christmas surprises. Sambaza furaha this Christmas na Safaricom.
Praise Atmosphere 2023 on the 9th of December at Sitam Karen, Nairobi from 2 p.m. onward, featuring Evelyn Wanjiru, Prosper Ochimana from Nigeria, Rehema Simfukwe from Tanzania, Edith Wairimo, Celestine Donkor from Ghana, Wilberforce Musyoka, Solomon Mukubwa, Kestin Bogo, and Sharon Ishavuka from Kenya. Regular tickets are available for just 1,000 shillings, 2,000 shillings at the gate. Visit www.praiseatmosphere.com/events or use paybill number 800-8575, account Praise.
As are we crossing over?
Dynasties are special. Constant success and domination that garners deserved praise and plaudits. On the other hand, there is nothing quite like the underdog that threatens that dynasty, if only for a short time. Which is exactly where Girona fits in this La Liga season, looking to unseat the big clubs with the ultimate underdog performance.
And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
One-seater bus ferrying a Catholic church choir from Mwingi to Nu plunged into this river, killing 32 people.
But we're in agreement, we don't have 2 years to wait. We're not going to lose any more lives in here.
It will be a memorial, NZU Memorial Bridge.
Miaka miwili baadaye, daraja lililoahidiwa na serikali bado halijakamilika.
It is a joke on the side of the government.
Tuko na shida kwa hii mto NZU. Kwenda sokoni ni shida.
Kwani hii bridge haina wasimamizi ambao wanaweza wakatilia mkazo.
Kama watu wamekufa zaidi ya 30, unangoja wengine wangapi wakufa?
The Sport Essence is a light serum, quickly absorbed to clear dark marks. Rich moisturizing cream is a gel cream type that deeply hydrates and prevents dark marks. I highly recommend Melano CC for healthy and happy skin. Roto.
All right, you're watching AM Live here on NTV, and we continue with the discussion that we are having. For the next 1 or so minutes, we still look at the papers, and then we get into our topic. And it is important to give this opportunity to the Honorable Abdul Kore, because he is so far the only Kenya Kwanza Member of Parliament who is here. The Honorable Geoffrey Roko confirms that he is on the way, so he will find us amid the conversation. But Kore, 2 years ago, 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 2 years a there is a comparison here between what President Kibaki did for the economy and what President Ruto has done. And according to the Standard, it has quoted experts who are saying that Kibaki will actually be shocked if he learnt of Rutonomics. What is your take?
I think my take is nobody will be shocked. Rutonomics will work. And I can tell you, Kibaki was a very good president. He really managed to turn the economy around. And that's why even our president looks at him as a role model, you know, to help him, to copy him, to see whether he can model his economics theories along what Kibaki did. But many things have conspired to make Ruto and Kibaki look different. Times are different. Kibaki approached his economics and how he would put down the cost of living differently. For example, he worked more on with other economic actors in the field. He worked with the banks so that the banks could actually engage the private sector in terms of lending and borrowing and what have you. I think Ruto has tried to copy the Kibaki style, and I'm sure he is going to perfect the Kibakinomics. The Rutonomics will be better than Kibakinomics at the end of the day. But along the way, because I've said times are not the same, so many things have conspired. The context in the world today is not the same as the context in the world when Kibaki took over. Kibaki actually encouraged Kenyans to pay taxes. It's not true that Kibaki did not, in fact he had that famous slogan, kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. And that is the script His Excellency Ruto is actually copying from Kibaki. You know, he believes if Kenyans paid taxes, you know, we will be self-sufficient. We'll depend on ourselves rather than depend on the borrowings. And don't forget, I wish Ruto was given a clean slate, you know, zero debt, and told, run your government, let's see how you perform. You see, he's inherited a huge debt.
But all the other presidents equally.
I know, but he's inherited one of the large, actually it's the biggest debt in the history of this country as a president. And he's struggling to make sure, because if Kenya defaults, you know what happens. Implication internationally is a big issue. So he's struggling to pay those debts, at the same time trying to make sure, because of the circumstances that are prevailing, make sure the country comes out of this situation we're in. You know, the economic downturn, the high cost of living, you know, the devaluation of the shilling against the dollar. There are so many multiple fronts that President Ruto is trying to fight. And some of the things that he's putting in place, even when he addressed the nation the other day in the State of the Nation address, his last paragraph, if you can remember, he didn't say we are there. He said, I have tried to put in place the necessary mechanisms to put this country on the right path. And I think from now going forward, we will start realizing some of the fruits from that. So I think there are certain things, perhaps as a country, as a government, we should have done better, and it is still not too late. You know, engaging more of other players in the economic sector rather than the government. The picture out there now looks like, it seems like it's the government running this economy on its own, without engaging other actors.
Sure.
You know, so maybe we will do better in terms of trying to explain more to Kenyans how we are engaging other actors in the economy and what have you. And I think perhaps we'll go to that debate later on. Even the National Dialogue Committee proposed a number of issues that needs to be done by the government in order to cut the expenditure in government. My colleague of the CAF, we were just discussing about the fact that you know, the ministers moving around maybe in 4, 5, 6, 7 cars, you know, fuel guzzlers, and you know, that show of extravagance when we have this kind of economic situation is something that we should do better as a government. And I think we'll be there in fullness of time, as I always say. So I think we need to engage the private sector more. We need to engage other actors in the field more. And I think the president's take, especially on trying to make sure we produce food, because if you look at the cost of living, for example, in this country, 70% of the cost of living is basically suffered by Kenyans, his own food. So if we manage to produce more food and we bring down the cost of food, perhaps we will be dealing with also some of the problems. This is what I mean when I say, in the fullness of time, some of these measures the government has put in place.
I think I saw proposals. Was it in Parliament to reduce some of these taxes? As I think excise duty on essential commodities, food items and such. It was actually on the Daily Nation on Saturday, was it?
Yeah, of course, definitely. The government, you know, will definitely do a number of reviews on the taxes, on other issues, because other than trying to realize the manifesto that we made to the Kenyans, the government also realizes these are hard times and Kenyans are talking to their government. And definitely the government is also trying to see what areas it can do in order to reduce the cost of living and to ease the suffering for the Kenyans.
All right. And at that point, I think with the direction of...
there's something I want to tell you, man. You know, he said that Kibaki motto was kulipa ushuru ni kujitegemea. There is one thing on that motto. Yes, Kenyans are encouraged to pay taxes. But the biggest question Kenyans ask themselves, we pay taxes, but services are not equitably distributed. Yes. We saw the other day, less than a month ago, the Minister for Roads, he gazetted roads to be tarmacked. You can imagine, out of that money, if you look at some counties, to get a good example like Makueni, Machakos and Kitui, and even Madera, we received like nothing in that total gazettement of roads to be tarmacked. Then you ask yourself, how will you convince people in Ukambani, Mandera and other areas to pay taxes when the money they are collecting is not equitably distributed in resources? So paying taxes is one thing, but service delivery, and that is where our government is failing. We have to tell them the truth, because even Article 10 of the Constitution talks of equity in governance and service delivery. But the people, the custodians, to implement government programs, instead of applying the Article 10 of the Constitution of equity in delivery of services, they are doing it based on where they come from. If you come from this particular region, you take all services there. And yet, all Kenyans pay taxes.
And because you're members of parliament and you've brought up that issue, this goes to the three of you. There was a very interesting claim that came from the CS, that much as there are these complaints, each constituency each year gets about 62 million for roads. Is it true?
That's a joke.
That's a joke.
That's a joke. You see, yeah, that's a joke.
Because that came from the CS.
You see, you can explain.
You know, Kera gives us a bit for maintenance within the constituencies, but that cannot be sufficient to develop the constituencies. One, you have to look at how big these constituencies are. What is 60 million going to do in one constituency, to be honest? Secondly, there's a lot more funds that the CS himself has that are allocated, which is what now he was trying to talk about. For Nairobi, for instance, we generate 60% of the GDP of this country. We were given 1.3 kilometers, 80 million from that allocation. Yet some counties here were receiving about 1.52 billion to develop their roads. What are we going to do with 1.3 kilometers? In fact, with our 17 constituencies, you leave us fighting amongst ourselves. In fact, we just said, whoever he'll decide to give, let him give, because it's very little.
Do you know, to add on what my brother is saying, and I'm now looking at my constituency, do you know since independence, I've never got more than 2 kilometers of tarmac road. Since independence. Are those people pay taxes? How will you tell Yatta people to continue paying taxes, yet when it comes to road distribution, we're talking about tarmac road, they get nothing. This maintenance money for roads, like now with these rains, all the roads have gone back to zero. So we are doing repetitive exercise to maintain roads.
Correct.
And it is also, it explains why.
We need to take this conversation forward.
Yeah. So the government needs to rethink, because you see, if you talk of maintenance money alone, these are repetitive work every time and then. Why don't you refocus? You better do 2 kilometers every single year in all the 290 constituencies of tarmac road. And you'll be able, if that was the trend from the last 6 years today, we'll be talking of uniformity in infrastructure in the country. But there's a huge disparity now.
I think I concur with my colleagues on this. The question of, unfair distribution of resources and the question of corruption is a problem in this country. And I think when it comes to the 62 million
per constituency,
even those constituencies which have ended up getting extra billions receive the same amount.
The same 62.
The same 62 million. So what is the logic of, you know, saying some are receiving 62 million, that's why they missed out on that road levy, road money, and yet those other ones which are receiving 62 million, the same 62 million, are now receiving 1.2 billion, 1.5 billion for extra roads in their constituencies. So that kind of unfairness is something, even if I'm in government, we will hold the executive to account on these issues, because Kenyans are not compartmentalized on those issues, like, you know, you come from this region or you come from that region, you are a lesser Kenyan than the other Kenyan, you know, like now, the whole of Northeastern is not accessible because of the El Nino rains.
Sure.
The main artery to Northeastern, Garissa, is cut off from the rest of Northeastern. So we are talking of about 800,000 Kenyans, you know, in the next few weeks will not be able to receive any goods and services by road. You know, Mandera, Wajir, Garissa. And billions of roads that would have been used to open those crossings which have been swept away by floods have been taken to other regions which have not even had any problems with floods.
Sure.
And you are telling us you receive 62 million and you should keep quiet.
Food for thought for Transport CS Kipchumba Murkomen. This is what members
next
of Parliament...
time you need to bring him here. We sit with him and he explains to Kenyans.
Yes, because this is exactly what members of Parliament feel about your claim of the monies that have been distributed across the country. But gentlemen, allow us to get to the topic of conversation today. And the topic of conversation or debate, be sure to grab all the other papers which we haven't had time to go through. Because of time, Taifa Leo has a top story on UDA kuadhibu wabunge wakaidi. These were sentiments by Cleopas Malala in Nakuru. The Business Daily speaks about how the bank dollar holdings are on the rise and to record 966.4 billion shillings. That is on the Business Daily, with other stories. Infrastructure bonds shine in secondary market, and Kenya Power blames fake forex rate for 23 billion shillings loss. Then there is the Star, Karua walkout looms as Raila team divided. And this then will also be part of our conversation on NADCO, because it all has everything to do with what came from the National Dialogue Committee. And at this point, even as he gets mic'd, the Honorable Geoffrey Ruko gets in studio quite late, but he shall be telling us what happened. But we're getting to the main topic. And Mwenje, the National Dialogue Committee gave us its report last week, I think about 10 days ago.
Nice.
There are a raft of recommendations. And the reason why we titled our discussion as Beating the Referendums is that some of the proposals must be effected through a referendum. You are a lawyer. And you also attended the PG by Azimio, in which Raila Odinga said that we must have a referendum. And even before you respond, maybe we need to start with that upsound, Jonte, from Raila Odinga when he held that parliamentary group meeting by members of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Alliance, coalition rather.
To create the office of the leader of opposition, or to formalize the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the people of Kenya have to have their say by way of a referendum. Besides, it is a constitutional requirement that such significant restructuring of government must go through a referendum to avoid the mischief that may be played by some people going to court.
To avoid mischief that may be played by some people going to court. That is what Raila Odinga says is a reason for a referendum. But let me start this with a very critical question. We saw this process through BBI. And from where I sit, perhaps you will explain to us. You are a leader in the National Assembly from Azimio. This NADCO process appears similar, same script to BBI. BBI was stopped by the courts by one major argument that the president cannot initiate a popular initiative. NADCO is an initiative of the president and Azimio leader Raila Odinga. So is this an exercise in futility?
Thank you very much. First of all, the way I like to look at it, NADCO is just BBI reloaded. So it's more or less the same thing. But how we amend the Constitution, Article 255 of our of our constitution tells us how we shall amend the constitution. There are two ways of going about it. Article 256 talks of parliamentary initiative. That means we go to parliament, we'll get a certain number to support the amendment, and then we start going through the process. Eventually, we must culminate in 2/3 in the National Assembly, 2/3 in the Senate, and that's parliamentary initiative. Popular initiative is what we had started with BBI. BBI was a popular initiative where we went round, collected signatures and all that. That is the process that we went with. So in this case, it's a little bit different, but we started in the same manner with BBI. So the question is, are we going by popular initiative or are we going by parliamentary initiative? Now, it seems the government side wants us to go through parliamentary process. That means now that the report has been done, you know, that's a separate process. Now come to parliament, here is the report, then we start. We look at the specific laws that we want to amend in parliament. So my gut feeling is that we are going to go through the parliamentary process and we start amending. Having said that, Article 255 gives us threshold. On certain matters, we must do a referendum. And to me, what the former Prime Minister is talking about, I have to agree with him. Because we're changing the structure of government by introducing these two positions. We're going, we probably will have to bring the leader of the opposition into parliament. Probably the Prime Minister would be a member of parliament as well. You know, we're still yet to sit down and look at these structures the way they are supposed to be. This changes a bit how the structure and function of parliament will be. That means if we don't go to a referendum, I also believe that somebody somewhere will just run to court and stop this entire process, even if we pass it in parliament. Remember, BBI was passed by both houses, only to be stopped at the point when you want to be stopped a bit later on by the courts. It is important, if we're going to do such serious amendments to this constitution of ours and create these two positions, and more importantly, we as Azimio did not ask for the position of leader of opposition, the position of prime cabinet secretary. It came from the Kenya Kwanza side. They're the ones who've insisted on it. And we feel if we don't give these two positions to the people and allow the people to have their say, to have their input on the same, there will always be an issue of legitimacy of how you were given this position by members of parliament who sat and were told you need to vote this way. So we must go out so that there'll be a lot of civic education that will need to be out there so that we can explain to the people why are we holding a referendum.
It doesn't take us away from the fact, and I come to you, Basil, it doesn't take us away from the fact that this has been initiated by the president and Raila Odinga. So it takes it, basing on the BBI judgment, takes it completely away from what the constitution envisions of what a popular initiative is. So are we walking through the same route? Are we risking to see the report and whatever or other amendments we may want to implement stopped by the courts?
Well, just like my brother has already indicated, of course, if we don't do through what is being provided by the Constitution, some people will go through the courts, they'll stop the process. Of course, personally, I would say this is not, of course, the timing is not right, because Kenyans now, they are extremely burdened by the cost of living. So what we would do, of course, we want these key positions, since they came from Kenya Kwanza, to be entrenched in the Constitution, to manage the element of win takes its all. Remember, after elections, the president goes, and then the deputy, or the second after the election outcome has nowhere to go. And that is what has been bringing all these chaos, acrimonies we have been seeing after elections. So to manage that, I think that's why Kenya Kwanza introduced or proposed we have these two positions. A referendum is the best way, as provided for by Article 252, Part 2A, which talks of referendum to engage citizens to have a say in the process. What I was saying, the referendum could a little bit be pushed forward, because as we speak today, Kenyans are really suffering. And if we continue, we bring the element of referendum, we are likely to even set now an election mood. Remember, we just came from election 1 year and 3 months. So if we start immediately now, what will happen? It will be now a period of election.
Isn't that what Azimio would want, politically speaking?
I don't think that is a position of Azimio, though I'm not speaking for Azimio.
So what was discussed?
I'm speaking as now as a member of parliament.
So what did you discuss in the PG? Because your party leader said in that press conference, I attended it, that we need to have a referendum. You had a closed door meeting before you invited the press. You must have discussed on when possibly to have this referendum. So what was discussed?
I don't want to to give out informations that were discussed in a closed door meeting. Remember, when you have a closed door meetings, the oath of secrecy sets in. But definitely, the deliberation was more on the report, and some of the outcome, which is in the public domain, was to have the opposition of the official opposition leader in the constitution. And what we are doing now is to follow the law. The law says when such decisions, critical decisions of such magnitude are being passed, we need to hold a referendum as per Article 255, Part 2A. So that is what the Azimio leader was telling Kenyans and informing members of parliament. Because that is a procedure. But what I was saying, I don't think currently we could maybe push it forward to make sure at least Kenyans now, because many Kenyans are struggling. Remember, January is coming. Very few Kenyans will be able to afford school fees because the situation is unbearable to so many Kenyans.
Thank you. We need, Kore, President William Ruto, immediately after the report came out, a day or 2 days, actually a day later in church, said, nimeona hiyo mapendekezo na ile iko hapo tutatimiza. Part of this kutimiza includes, we can't run away from it because of Article 255 on basic structure or not, we need to go back to the people on, includes a referendum. What is the position of Kenya Kwanza, and when should this referendum be held?
I think, yeah, thank you very much. First of all, let me say, when the president said tutatimiza, I think I agree with him fully. One thing you should know is, maybe we'll discuss it later. This whole thing was a win-win situation for both the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio. And I must say, the question around, whether we will go to referendum on these offices to be created. Remember, we started this process in Parliament. It was the process was enacted as a legislation in Parliament, and the committee was formed. We approved it in Parliament, and once they've done their report, they will bring it back to Parliament. So we'll do this thing through the parliamentary process. And although my colleagues have insisted on the fact that this is a recommendation from the Kenya Kwanza and not from Azimio, looking at it from that perspective, it has also turned out to be the less controversial issue that the teams discussed there. It's like they all agreed on it. So if we have agreed on it,
they equally wanted it.
They equally want it. So if we agree on it, and we know the context in which we are as a country, the burden the Kenyans are having as a country, why should we push them through the popular initiative where we do a referendum?
It says that. It is
the Constitution says we can do it like Honorable Mwenje said in two ways. We can do it through the parliamentary process, and we can do it through the. So my take is we can do it through the parliamentary process, perfectly legally acceptable. But if it is insisted that it must be done through referendum, given the circumstances we have today, then we can do it together with the 2027 elections. Instead of burdening Kenyans in between here, maybe we can do it with the 2027 elections so that we have one cost for both the election and the referendum.
Roku, it's the first time you're speaking, so I'll give you a couple of minutes more. And it is about the referendum. President William Ruto has said tutatimiza whatever is in that report, says whatever needs to go to Parliament will go to Parliament. And Azimio has also taken a side to, support whatever is said. In fact, I heard in that meeting that, in fact, this was a statement by Minority Leader Opiyo Wandayi that there will be no cherry picking when this particular recommendation comes to Parliament. So they pass it as is. When should this referendum be held?
Thank you. One, I belong to the school of thought of those members of Parliament who don't support this report. I 100% don't support the report because there are so many lazy recommendations.
Lazy recommendations?
Yes, lazy recommendations. It is true we support the president 100%, and we are not going to give the president the space to get into the problems which the former president Uhuru Kenyatta got into when they joined hands with Raila Odinga. This is a case which is likely to happen, but we are going to fight extremely hard to ensure William Samoei Ruto makes the right decisions for the sake of his government, Kenya Kwanza government, and for the sake of the people of the Republic of Kenya. Why am I saying that this recommendation is full, this report is full of lazy recommendation? My brother, you realize that when you're addressing the cost of living, you don't do it in a superficial manner. You do it in a serious way. Tell me, why is it that Kenya is one of the countries in the region with the highest cost of power? It is because of cartels which are there, state capture which is there, as far as supply of very essential commodities on the power, like transformers, like conductors, like meters. We don't manufacture some of these products. But if you look at the prices, which are the installation prices of this product here in Kenya, vis-a-vis other countries, vis-a-vis where these products are manufactured, you just cry. And therefore, this cost is pushed down to the consumer who are Kenyans. We have independent power producers who sells power to Kenya Power at a very high prices. Why? Because they have power purchase agreement with government which cannot be revoked of many years, 20 years, 30 years. So if we are talking about cost of living, then let's see recommendations on how we can bring down the cost of power so that we can get manufacturers in our country. Once we have manufacturers in our country setting up shops here, then it means our young people who are jobless, many of them, millions of them, they will be able to get employment. We want to see concrete recommendations from that report, not just mere superficial recommendation to ensure it creates positions for the leader of opposition.
Allow me to cut you short there. Allow me to cut you short there so we also don't mislead the viewers. Creating positions for the leader of opposition might be misleading. Because, you know, one, you don't apply the law retrogressively. If this were to pass today, it would not be implemented immediately. At least that's what I assume. Secondly, it is a proposal, like Alia said, from the Kenya Kwanza side. So how are we creating positions for the leader of opposition?
This is politics, my brother. Probably Kenya Kwanza came up with that recommendation so that we can come up with up in arms to say this is not going to happen. One, so in other words, it is politics. It is politics. One, we have what we may call, the referendum. Do you think Kenya Kwanza members of parliament, me included, will support the president to ensure that there's a referendum in the Republic of Kenya? It is not going to happen. We have more important things to deal with to ensure this economy is back on the right track.
How about
not going for campaigns and referendum?
Ruku, how about, before we get to referendum, this report comes to parliament this week. This particular week, it comes to parliament, and most of the things, or some of the things, will need approval from parliament. Because you said you don't support the report. Will you support any aspect of the report that may need simple parliamentary
The only aspect of the report which we will support is the creation of IBC, the commissioners, whatever the formula you want to come up with, that is okay. Let Kenya have an IBC. But you know, the report is recommending about IBC, which is a hardware, but it's not recommending with clarity about the software. How many Azimio members of parliament have forwarded an election amendment, amendment of Election Act 2011? None. But they are here shouting how elections are stolen every single day, but they don't want to solve that problem. If you want to solve the problem of the elections in this country, amend Election Act of 2011, Section 24, and also Section 44, so that we can ensure there is automation process of the election. I have an amendment of Election Act 2011 to automate the election process of the Republic of Kenya, so that we can be able to have a different definition of what a ballot paper is.
Basil, you want to
so that we, no, Basil will not say anything. Basil will not say anything, my brother. Let me finish my point. Basil will not say anything. They are very happy. They are very happy with the recommendation that Raila Odinga may come to Parliament. I can assure you, it is not going to happen. Kenyans are not ready for that. Kenyans want about economic revival of this country, job creation of young people, and let me tell you, President William Ruto has a clear plan on how to achieve that. But that clear plan is not about referendum, it's not about creation of jobs, I mean creation of position of leader of opposition, and it's not about creation of Senate Oversight Fund. Already we have too many funds in the Republic of Kenya.
So thank you.
That's why I'm saying these are very lazy recommendations.
And
imagine,
you will not.
We want to create another. These fellows are supporting creating another fund to give the Senate money to move around. Do you think that is something Kenyans can support?
Let's allow them to respond.
President William Ruto is not going to make the mistake which his predecessor Uhuru Kenyatta made in holding hands with
President William Ruto. I'm coming to you, Basil. President William Ruto has committed himself to support the recommendations of NADCO. So when you say he will not make that mistake, I mean, that's, we wait and see. But Basil, you have a burning feedback.
You see, I think Mheshimiwa Ruku is confirming what Kenya Kwanza has been doing all along. I would call it a long con. By this I mean they have been playing games with the Kenyans and with Azimio.
Not with Kenya.
Because they have not been serious. They have not been serious.
Let's allow
remember, if you look at history, allow me to talk. I tell you,
no. You can't continue that kind of.
They are playing games.
As a ruling coalition,
they are playing games.
Okay, allow me. We will have to mute your mics to start again from ground zero.
Yes, I'm trying.
So Ruku, we are coming to you. Let's allow Basil to make his point.
Yes, I'm telling him he's confirming what some of us, we have been thinking about it over the time. Because the government, it's clear from what Honorable Ruku is saying, they have not been serious and committed to the discussions going on bipartisan talks. And we saw it immediately when the talks started. The price of fuel started going up. Could start and economics, the functionality of the government should continue. But now what is revealing is they have been playing games with us. Number two, what he's talking about, those positions.
You know,
the
premises of the dialogue was completely wrong because it is because of someone who has refused to accept the result of elections year in, year out. And causing violent and armed demonstration against the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, Article 37. And then, listen, the premises
allow us to correct him.
What took people to the streets? Let's head one by one. What took people to the streets?
What took people to the street is not the high cost of living. What took people to the street is because of the support, the support base of Raila Odinga, and mobilizing them after they lost the election. They stayed quiet for 5 months. Why is it, if it is about the cost of living, why is it that they did not go to the streets immediately?
All right.
They stayed quiet. They stayed quiet for 5 months.
Can I explain to you?
Let's have some order. Let's have some order.
Before I allow my brother
let's have some order, Basil, and take this from this point. Whereas, because we're going to Mwenje, and then we take a break and come and start with Kore. But whereas you're saying that Kenya Kwanza has been playing games.
Yes.
This is clearly something that Azimio did not find out today. You knew all along.
Correct.
Then the question from us journalists to you has always been, why didn't you bolt out? Why did you have to stay all through the process to even sign the document and now say that you're going to support it, yet you acknowledge having known that these were games being played?
You see, as Azimio, we are honorable members and we respect what we tell Kenyans. Remember, the bipartisan talks were initiated to calm down the political temperatures that were on the rise in the country. And as Azimio, we gave them time. but there were signals that the government maybe they are not serious about this thing. And today, our brother Honorable Ruku has confirmed that. He has said it was politics. They were not serious about the talks and even the proposal they were making. And they were even questioned. Remember, before the talks proceeded, there were times where they were suspended because even the members who are nominated by Kenya Kwanza, they were not meeting the balance. You remember they nominated Ichungwa, and from Azimio side we said, honestly, they should have gave us someone of the same level with His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka. But we said all in all, since that is the best team they could have, let's proceed with the
Fair
talks.
enough.
That is exactly what happened. But remember, as Kenyans, because we have to respect the decision of the Kenyans, the Kenyan people, that is why we hold on to the talks.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Amwenze.
You know, this issue of the report, and it's interesting how Rocco has raised it, that he doesn't agree with the report because it doesn't cover issues such as cost of living and all these things. Remember, we said in our PG that this report is incomplete. In fact, we have our own members who are struggling to support this report because that was the fundamental issue. The issue of cost of living is what took us to the streets. Why did we wait for 5 months? We waited because at the point when the election happened and a few months after, the cost of living was fine, but it just kept going up gradually. So we had to. The people are the ones who went to the streets. More importantly, this report, you know, I like the way he's saying they're playing politics. We too are good at playing politics in Azimio. In fact, we've been at this game longer than them, so we understand it better. They've proposed an issue and we've told them, fine, can we take it to a referendum? They are afraid to go back to the people. Why are you afraid to go back to the people? To approve a document that you are the ones who've approved it. Secondly, of course, there's an issue. It will take us some time because we have to reconstitute. We have to reconstitute the IEBC. We have to reconstitute the IEBC before we go for a referendum. So we're a long way off. The issues that have just been raised here, that you're playing with the opposition, you're playing with all these people, is the reason why, for us, some of us supporting this report, we have also cherry-picked. We believe the office of the Registrar of Political Parties cannot exist in its current form. We need a better system where we nominate. So we've cherry-picked some of the things. That one doesn't need a referendum. We can take that. If they don't agree and they have refused to talk about the issue of cost of living, I find it strange that Rocco can come here and say that this report is bad because it doesn't have this, and yet they're the ones who opposed it.
And when we come back, I want to hold Ruku and Kore to account. But first of all, we need to take a break. But when we come back, when Ruku says that the report does not have the cost of living, again, the question on cost of living is who is it that is supposed to cure? Because who is it that passed the Finance Act? It is members of Parliament. That you will be responding to when we come back from this break. You're watching M Live here on NTV.
At Stanbic Kenya, we believe in your financial potential, and we are here to help you reach new heights. Enjoy an attractive interest rate of up to 14% per annum on your savings. Make the most of this exclusive offer today and let your money thrive. For more details, call us today or visit a branch near you. Stanbic Bank.
On my dark marks, I've tried everything, but hardly any results. Nivea Luna 630 works from day one. With visible results in just 2 weeks, you'll see the difference or get your money back. The results speak for themselves. Join the 1 million women already using the #1 Lumina 630 from Nivea.
Kenya, twende mbele. NCBA, go for it.
Naamini we upo ta drive nifagie na kanyumba kangu, niende benki nihesabu na vipesa vyangu, ta drive nifagie na kanyumba kangu.
To get Nita Drive by Zabron Singers, dial star 811 star 849 hash.
Skiza na Nation.
Meet the Botswana Meat Commission, the heartbeat of the nation's agricultural prowess. A key player in transforming the country's abundant cattle population into a source of economic vitality.
The Sport Essence is a light serum, quickly absorbed to clear dark marks. Rich moisturizing cream is a gel cream type that deeply hydrates and prevents dark marks. I highly recommend Melano CC for healthy and happy skin. Roto.
All right, welcome back to AM Live here on NTV, and the discussion is just getting heated up. The Member of Parliament, Geoffrey Ruko, says he will not support any recommendation from NADCO, and it is interesting. And I'll start with you, Korep. When you hear your coalition mates, because you're not UDA, you are UDM, right?
Yeah.
But he is your coalition mate, say that he is not going to support recommendations in the document. I'm sure there are positives within the document.
Yes.
Then what... Yes, we acknowledge that there has not been a parliamentary group meeting from Kenya Kwanza, especially on NADCO. Azimio has already done its report. What is your take when it brings this kind of divisions amongst yourself?
I think what I'm seeing is not division. What I'm seeing is a very healthy debate. And you know we are a democracy. People will share their views and argue their points. And like the president always says, any good idea gives way to a better idea. So if Naburuku has a better idea of what we are discussing, he's free to air them, and Kenyans will be the arbiter. They will know where the but personally speaking, as a member of the Kenya Kwanza coalition, I agree with my president that we have to implement the recommendations of NADCO. I agree with my majority leader who agrees with His Excellency Honorable Raila Odinga on the fact that the report is imperfect, is unfinished, but it's a beginning. It's not the end. It's a beginning. It's actually the building blocks of where we need to build on so that we can achieve. I come from the peace building background, and I know when you have a conflict, whether it's a political conflict or it's a violence or whatever, and you've brought people together, you know, you have to temper, you know, how to make sure there is an agreement of sorts. Sometimes you don't agree, but most cases you work for a give and take situation, a win-win situation. Personally, I find the report as a win-win situation. There are a number of things that Kenya Kwanza recommended, like for example the establishment of those offices, which the NADCO has recommended needs to be done. We have refused to discuss the question of cost of living because that is the mandate of the government as it was elected on a manifesto that it needs to fulfill. So if we agree the cost of living to be discussed in a dialogue conference like this, then it takes away the responsibility of the government in dealing with the cost of living as it promised in its manifesto to Kenyans. Whether we fail or we succeed, we need to be judged on the manifesto we agreed with the Kenyans. And that manifesto cannot be subjected to a dialogue committee which has got bipartisan team from Azimio, and from Azimio has its own as his own manifesto. Kenya Kwanza has its own manifesto, and I agree with the members of the NADCO committee. from the Kenya Kwanza side who said the cost of living need not be discussed in the National Dialogue Committee. So, but there are so many other good things that have come out. For example, the question around the electoral justice. These recommendations doesn't stop somebody like Honorable Ruku or any other member from taking any other amendments to the IBC Act or the Election Act in Parliament. This one doesn't stop us from performing our legislative role in Parliament at all. Like on Wednesday, we will be discussing members from Mandera. We've agreed, Major Bashir from Mandera North, to move an amendment to the IBC Act so that, you see, we've had the demise of our colleague in Banisa 6 months ago. And people in Banisa have remained unrepresented for the last 6 months because IB is not constituted. You see how suffering is happening to many Kenyans. So we want to recommend an amendment to the IBC Act so that the CEO, even when there is no commission, like, you see, this is a situation which was not envisaged. That
So
they will
I saw the amendment.
Yeah, so that the CEO can be able to gazette the election and can even run
a by-election.
Run by the by-election.
All right.
So, and more important, the NADCO has also recommended the question of transfer of all devolved functions. This is a very important issue, especially for some of us who come from northern Kenya, where we believe devolution is the independence, you know, for us, and the establishment of the World Fund, the increase of the shareable
revenue.
Shareable resources from 15% to 20%. These are very good recommendations that we cannot just brush away as useless.
And say they are lazy recommendations. But
Yes.
let me come to you, Roko. When you say that this report, and I insinuated this question as we are taking the break, when you say that this report has not addressed the cost of living, question would be, as a member of parliament, then how did you expect the report to address the cost of living? Yet you were in parliament when the Finance Act came to parliament. It is the Finance Act currently that has occasioned some of the painful, or should I say, the taxes that Kenyans are paying. How would the dialogue team address this, yet you have the solution in parliament?
Thank you. One, and please, you have to protect me from these two guys, because I know my brother here has done his presentation or his discussion quiet. I know I'll be dejected within 1 minute. Okay. Now, first of all, the premises of these talks is wrong, because when one forms a government, please allow whoever has formed the government to conduct the government affairs, and after 5 years, Kenyans will make a judgment on whether the affairs of government have been run properly or not. This has not been the case with the leader of opposition or leader of Azimio from the time of Kibaki, from the time of Moi, all the way to now. And that is the culture, the type of politics which we need to kill from our political space completely. Number two, so the premises of going to Bomas of Kenya was wrong. And we gave benefit of doubt, because nobody who is a custodian of experience, knowledge, and expertise. We gave benefit of doubt that let's see whether this team will be able to come up with proper recommendations which cannot be done on the floor of the House. But my brother, the thing is, all these things which are mentioned on that report, all of them, none that cannot be implemented on the floor of the House. So the question is, why is it, you know, in Parliament, the standing orders of Parliament says that the leader of minority and the leader of majority, whether if they have any bill of any amendment of the Act, is given priority. And also, they are given huge amount of time to debate, to say whatever they want to say. I'm expecting that some of these things which leader of minority one day, he was sitting there in Bomas, he could have forwarded to the floor of the House. We discussed them, we passed them. All the necessary amendments which need to be done in Parliament can be done by the leader of minority. You don't need a dialogue team to sit down. I'll give you an example. Why I'm talking about the cost of living, yes. But the cost of living is not only occasioned by the taxes. The high cost of power, this power, has been there, not this year, not last year, not the previous year. It has been there even for the last 10 years when Uhuru was in power. So it's not about the taxes which were introduced by the finance bill. So we need to address some of these basics and get them right. When you are talking about the fuel levy, that you want to scrap the fuel levy, do you know these members of parliament, all of these members of parliament seated here, they use the fuel levy to do maintenance of roads across the country. And if you want to know that, and assuming there's no the kind of lanes which we have or which we're having at the moment, if you want to go to our neighbors, a country like Uganda, and see the kind of roads which are there in the city, because they don't factor in the fuel levy. So I don't think whether there's any member of parliament who will support the reduction of fuel levy, which ensures there's maintenance of roads, rural roads, across, including highways, across the Republic of Kenya. So we must be more innovative and more creative to really get it right in terms of microeconomics. What is this can change, can ensure, one, when President William Ruto said about the subsidies, he said we are not going to subsidize consumption, which is extremely a very, a fundamental economic policy, very important. That you better subsidize production but not consumption, so that you can get things right. And that's why we are seeing the product which are being produced within the agricultural sector at the moment, whether it is beans, whether it is whatever is being produced, it has increased because, and the cost of doing that has come down because of subsidizing production.
Fair enough.
Now, we need to get it right. We are not seeing this thing being addressed properly in this report. We are talking about remove the subsidy or the fuel levy to take
VAT
care of
from 16 to 8.
to take care of the cost of living. About the VAT,
it was a proposal from Azimio, much as it was not considered.
yeah, about the VAT, it is because
very brief, because we also need to go to them.
Remember the kind of arrangement which was there before, that the subsidy of 80%, the oil marketers were going to the coffers of the Republic of Kenya, of the people of Kenya, and get the difference of 8%. Okay, so do we want to continue giving money to oil marketers, or do we need to use that money to take care of our day-to-day activities of government? So, my
Fair
brother,
enough.
I think for me, what I'm saying, we will fight very hard not to go to any referendum. We will fight very hard to ensure IBC is reconstituted, and not only reconstituting IBC, we will ensure there is proper amendment of Election Act, which will ensure nobody in the Republic of Kenya who will go back saying that the elections were rigged, because it's not possible that MCA's elections were okay, MP's elections were okay,
fair enough.
These other elections were okay, but when it comes to presidency election, that's where the problem is. All these guys were phony.
Ruku, a yes or no question. President William Ruto says tutatimiza what is in the report. Will you support the contents of the report or not?
We will support the content of the report where the president says if it is about IBC, we will support. But about the issues of referendum, that we will not support.
Usually pick. Mwenze, there is a general feeling that much as there is a call for referendum, that this is not the time. But I covered the PG that you guys had, and let me get a card from under the table. And one, Azimio said that, this was not said in the press conference, but it was said in the meeting, that you have no business teaching Kenya Kwanza how to maintain the cost of living. That was said. In fact, it is also your hope that Kenya Kwanza does not contain the cost of living so that you have something to campaign against. That was said in the meeting, not in the press.
How did you know?
I'm a journalist.
We also know.
I am a journalist. Mwenze.
You know, first of all, that paints us in very bad light. You know, Azimio we don't want people to suffer.
Yeah.
That's
but you
one
hope
of the
Kenya
things.
Kwanza fails.
You see,
I covered
they are
the
failing. We're not even hoping. They are already failing. And when they fail, you see the trouble that a member of parliament or a supporter of Azimio suffers the same way as the supporter of Kenya Kwanza. So we have the same problem. What we decided is that, you know, we couldn't have, we cannot get a bipartisan approach on the floor of the House. That never happens. So that is why we had to go out there. It's why we made cost of living part of the discussion there. We made it part of the discussion, not because it is not our duty, and we said it, yes, it is not our job to help them govern the country. But we were trying to tell them, if you look at some of these things that you guys have passed, if we bring them to the floor of the House, on the floor, first of all, there's no opposition in this country. We have a majority and a minority. That's it. That is how our constitution is set up. They have the majority. So when we go on the floor of the House, everything that they do passes. Rocco is here busy telling you the way he'll oppose the report. He'll be called to a PG here at State House. He'll come singing the song of that they've been told and just vote yes, yes, yes. You wait and see on the day. So what we've been trying to do is try and get them to listen, to reason, and tell them, help us. Let us, and actually we were trying to help them govern, but we've decided we're not going to bother with that. It is their duty. If they don't want to listen to the people, for us, we'll go back to the people. And that's what we've done. We've decided we're going to pick the report, some of the things, and cherry pick some of the issues that are there, and go back to the people.
What do you expect to get from the people? I mean, they put you in position of leadership. You have the mandate. What do you expect to gain from the people?
You see, the issue of cost of living is an issue that touches on the people. Now, we've done a report here. We've tried our level best to try and make it part of the conversation. They've refused it, and they've rejected it to make it part of the conversation, the issue of cost of living. We, as the minority side, have a duty to go back to the people and explain to them, this is what happened. We raised our issues. We even gave them options. Can you remove this? Can you remove this? Can you adjust this? Can we do something here? They've rejected it, and they've made it quite clear. So we are left with no other place. Because on the floor of the House, we can't defeat, we cannot reverse these changes. They'll be bringing in more taxes, and we can't reverse it. So for us, we can only go back to the people and tell them. The other issue that I wanted to just respond to was the issue of the election of 2022. Part of this report has, the Kenya Kwanza side have agreed that we do an audit, because there are some issues with this election, and it's important before we go to the next election. How did we end up with Cherera 4 here? These people are giving us these results. You all remember, you were there. You remember that for 2 days, we really didn't even know who was going to win this election. So we have to change that. We have to, and we have to audit that election so that the new IBC that comes in, we're able to tell them, guys, these were the mistakes. The country was there was a lot of tension, even at Bomas when Chebukati called both sides to attend. We still did not know who was going to win the election. Look at the US. In the US, you, the media, call even areas and say, this person has won here, this person has won here. That's what we want. We want something clear.
A very brief question. When would you rather we have the referendum?
To me, I think as soon as we have the IEBC, once we've set up an IEBC and done the relevant reforms that need to be done, I think we can be ready to do a referendum going into perhaps end of next year, maybe sometime
before 2027.
I think it needs to be there before. We need to separate these issues: the issue of a referendum and the issue of the election for 2027. So I don't think they need to be done at the same time. I think we need to separate it, but we don't have an IBC yet. We've not even passed these things in Parliament, so we are still a long way off.
But we cannot ignore the fact that a referendum is in the offing because of the recommendations. Yes. Basil, when would you rather have the referendum? You spoke about the time not being right now. Is it before 2027? And if it is, if you agree with Mwenje, then does it hold or gain more weight to the fact that Azimio wants to go back to the people because they feel a referendum will be a vote of no confidence to Kenya Kwanza?
Well, first, as I indicated, currently Kenyans are suffering. So the best time to have a referendum could be around 2025, somewhere there.
Still before 2027 elections?
Yes, because you can't mix the two. You can't mix general elections and a referendum. The two cannot be tied together. But of course, you need to have the right infrastructure for a referendum, and that is where we need IBC to be in place. So the most immediate measure to be done is to recruit IBC. We have them in office, and then from there now they can be able to undertake a referendum around 2025, within that period. I also wanted to differ with my friend when he said the Azimio should have allowed the government to continue doing business. We did not interfere with the business of the government. What we have been doing is to tell the government, your people are suffering. We can't sit and watch when the ship is sinking. Remember, when you are doing chemistry, there is something called chemical change and physical change. They are irreversible occasions. For example, people have died because of cost of living. Those lives cannot be recovered. People, young people have not been able to attain higher level of learning because of poverty and inability to pay school fees. That cannot be reversed. These are chemical change, and we cannot sit and watch. We have a duty to tell the government the way you are pursuing, or the way the government, the move the government or the path is taking people in the wrong direction. And that's what we have been saying. Remember, when the Finance Act was brought to Parliament, myself, I opposed. And I gave my personal amendments, which no one listened to. I told them you cannot tax, particularly if you talk of affordable housing. Instead of imposing a compulsory levy, you are extorting money from Kenyans, and no one knows which house is going to own. I said, reduce taxation on ingredients of construction, and the Kenyans will be able to build their houses the way they want.
Thank you.
Among other amendments that I made, Ruku was among the first people to oppose that. And here he is saying that we are going to do, or he's talking of cost of living. How do you talk of cost of living when you had a chance to oppose a punitive financial act, and he never did it?
At least he has said that the finance act
is like you are stopping a vehicle that has already moved.
Yes. Correct. Azimio says it's going to the people because of the cost of living. And this going to the people will only boil the people. It will only set the country in a campaign period, I think, because we are foreseeing a referendum. What do you take from that commitment of going to the people?
I think they are within their rights to go to the people. We are a democracy, as I told you. And we will not stop, nobody can stop Azimio from going to talk to the people. They have that right. But I tell you, this process which we are discussing, we started it in Parliament. And we will end it in Parliament. I don't agree that there is going to be a referendum of any sorts on this matter, because even the context, the circumstances under which we are now, doesn't allow, if you're honest with each other, doesn't allow any referendum to happen now. And I will tell my colleague, my friends, let's just get prepared, because this report is coming to Parliament this week.
It's actually coming this week.
Yeah, get prepared for that debate on the floor of the House. Any amendments or any recommendations that you may have to change it at the floor of the House, and get also prepared to accept it when we pass it in Parliament as it is. This report is good. As I said earlier, it's a win-win situation. Azimio recommended a number of things, including electoral justice, including the constitution of the question around fidelity to the law on political parties, and they got what they wanted in the recommendations. Kenya Kwanza recommended a number of things. We didn't get all what we wanted. We got a number of things that we wanted, including establishment of and the entrenchment in the constitution of some of those oversight institutions that we have, like NGCDF and NGGov and what have you. So it's a good report, and we'll debate it on the floor of the House, and that's a house of debate, and that's what we are elected to do, and we will agree to disagree on some points, but at the end of the day, this is a process. We entrenched in the process of parliamentary process, and we'll end it in that process of
parliamentary process. Geoffrey Ruku, you'll give us your comment, then we'll do a round of closing comments for each of us. So if you take the position that you don't support the report, then what would you rather is a way forward for those members of Parliament who believe in your line of thought?
We believe that the National Assembly and of course the floor of the Senate can be able to take care of issues which Kenyans are raising, and that's exactly why we were elected by Kenyans to ensure, and even the law, everything, all the instruments are available to ensure some of these things are able to be done. But the problem which we have is that some people believe that they cannot be able to do anything when they have not been sanctioned by their leader, failing to know that everyone was elected independently. And you have a constitution mandate to do as per what the constitution says, to registrate and to ensure that registration which you have come up with, of course, is effected when it comes wrong. You know, it is very insincere for us to sit here and say there's no money for fees when all of us here have CDF, and out of the CDF we have 35%, maximum of that 5% of that money should go to school payment. And if you have a problem with that 5%, you can request the board to increase that 5%. So when Honorable Basir keep on saying they cannot be able to pay fees, he should be more innovative on how his constituents should be able to get more bursaries, like I've done in my constituency. So when someone is, and I keep on using this word, lazy, please don't blame others. Okay? and that is the point. That is the point to that is the point to bring this, because let's now get into your 10 seconds. John, can we do 10 seconds each of closing comments? 10 seconds each, yes. The president has been able to address the macroeconomics of this country, holding the economy back on track. That's why we have been able to see growth of 5.4% when other economies are registering stagnated economic growth. Most of countries in the world at the moment are registering stagnated economic growth, when we, Kenya economy, has registered 5.4%. That is because of the policies and the program which the president and his government have been able to embroil. And it is true, they are working. They are working. In a short while, we'll be having ease of day-to-day life of Kenyans. Correct.
I think the question of dealing with the cost of living should be left to the government. The government is on top of this. The president has done very well, like my colleague has said. He's put in place the spanner in the works, you know, the framework in which we will achieve what we have set ourselves to achieve as a country. We may not achieve whatever we have promised Kenyans 100%. No government has ever done that. But I believe when the shove comes to push and when dust settles, we'll be in a better position than we inherited this country from.
Basil, 10 seconds.
One, I want to tell my brother Ruku, he needs to speak the truth. What is not telling the Kenyans is, currently school fees are being reviewed upward. Even capitation for primary schools was not received 100%. So if bursary for universities, the school fees is now we are talking of 100,000 plus. How much money can you give a single student? Of course, you can't give more than.
We're not supposed to get back to the
debate. Even if you give 20,000, a poor family, and most of the family now they are needy because of increased cost of living.
Fair enough.
So what I'm saying is, let's speak the truth. Let's not politicize issues for the sake of politics. Remember, the people who voted for us, very few can afford to put a meal on the table.
Well taken.
And many Kenyans are suffering. So let's talk of how we are, how as elected leaders, we are going to do to make sure life is bearable for the people who voted us, not to politicize issues for the sake of politics.
To me, I just have two parting points. If we're going to amend the constitution, let us do it in the right manner. This is the first time it will be amended. If a referendum is needed, people should not be afraid to go to the people. The second issue is the issue of cost of living. As Azimio, we will continue engaging the people, we will give alternatives where we think we can change. More importantly, we are asking the government, listen to the people. And if you don't listen to the people, then the people will punish you.
Then the people will punish you. Thank you very much, Mark Mwenje, the Deputy Minority Whip in the National Assembly, as well as Member of Parliament, Embakasi West Constituency. We also have the Honorable Robert Basil, Member of Parliament, Yatta constituency. The two of them are from Azimio, that is Jubilee Party, as well as Wiper Party. Then we also have the Honorable Abdul Kore, Member of Parliament, Mandera South, elected under UDM, as well as the Honorable Geoffrey Ruku, Member of Parliament, Mbere North constituency, elected under the UDA Party. And DP Party. And gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. That's where we bring to a close. Next time we will have this conversation, and Ruku, make sure you keep time next time when you have this conversation. But that is it here at AM Live. My name is Ibrahim Karanja. Be sure to catch the rest of our programming here on NTV. This is where we give you the best of journalism in the country.
Unbeatable shows for the whole neighborhood to choose from.
I can have my happily ever after.
So stay connected to DSTV this holiday season to make the best entertainment yours. DSTV, it's your moment.
From here, possibilities are everywhere. From taking first steps here to beginning your own wealth journey here. From backing global trade ambitions here to delivering on that promise here. That's why we're here, in the world's most dynamic markets. A bank that connects potential to possibilities. So, where will you go from here?
Get ready to dive into the pearls of a generation that's shaping the future.
On this new season of Speaking of Gen Z, we uncover stories and emotions behind relationships, friendship, family, and much more. It's not about the miles between us, it's about the connections we share. And this is the Strings Attached edition.
Baby, come give me something,
Can we talk about situationships?
Speaking of Gen Z podcast, the Strings Attached edition. Wednesdays from 10 a.m. on Nation FM and Nation.Africa.
Welcome to Speaking of Gen Z.
The Kenya Medical Training College, KMTC, is celebrating its 92nd graduation ceremony on Thursday, December 7th, 2023. The event will be held at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, Nairobi from 10 a.m. and will be live on NTV and the KMTC official YouTube channel. Visit www.kmtc.ac.ke for more information on the graduation, training programs, and application procedure. KMTC, training for better health.
Hivyo vipeni vyako kidogo ndo umeamua uviharibu kwa mambo yasiyo na maana. Pana. Oh please. Sina muda saizi. I'm busy. Unaweza enda?
Mama. Kama ungekuwa umelea Tony kama mtoto wako wa kuzaa, haungekuwa unaingililia mambo yake ya muhimu kama haki ya kumchagulia bibi.
Hautamuongelesha mama hivyo.
Ningekushauri hivi. Badala ya kujali uamuzi wangu, shughulikia ndoa yako.
Unajua unachosema wewe?
Watch out for Safaricom Santa coming to a town near you with Christmas surprises. Sambaza furaha this Christmas na Safaricom.
Behold the Okavango Delta, a masterpiece of nature. a jewel nestled in the heart of Botswana.
Mother, tell me the truth. Did you really patch things up with Mrs. Irene?
Yes, darling. Because now I understand that the love that you feel for each other is very strong. I promise you that I'm not going to oppose it anymore.
How should I know what that is?
Don't pretend. Morales brought this to you earlier. You are running DNA tests on someone to see if you have a child.
I don't want your brother rubbing the fact that you have no interest right into my face. All right then. I'll do whatever you wish. You better do what I wished. Not just because of that. It's your obligation. Abdul and that woman are getting married. I came from there and she told me.
Head over heels.
How do you keep your toilets clean?
I use normal detergent and bleach for washing.
The detergent and bleach cleanless can leave behind yellowness, rust, and germs. Harpic's 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach, and kills 99.9% illness-causing germs in your toilet, including the COVID-19 virus.
This is NTV.
All right, welcome to your world. My name is Olive Barrow, sitting in for one Winnie Lubembe. And this morning, this is the question we're asking: is there hope after infidelity? So we will have our phone lines open. You can tweet me. My Twitter handle is at @obarrows at NTV Kenya, but we'll have the number on your screens. It is 0719038343. 0719038343, but we'll have it up on the screen shortly. With me in studio, ladies first, Triza and Triza Kainika. Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Good How are you? Studio.
Thank you.
And like her being, so she's a psychologist, but she's also the CEO All Smiles Therapy Center, and just like all smiles, she's all smiles. She's all smiles this morning. We also have Maury Fixton.
Yes.
Maury Fixton Njuru. I will call him Njuru for the purposes of tongue, not having my tongue tied. Yeah. But do you mind me asking the origin of the name, Maury Fixton?
Even me, I asked the origin of the name, and I was told that it's a Philippine name.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Yes.
I've learned something today. Thank you for that. And he is also a psychologist.
Yes.
All right. So we're asking: is there hope? After infidelity? But first, maybe tell us, Triza, for those who may not be familiar, what does a psychologist do?
Oh, great. A psychologist, ours is as simple as your feelings, your behavior, and your thoughts. Just those three things. So we are in to walk the journey of emotional, just like we have doctors for our physical health. What we say is, do you get to know when emotionally you are bleeding? When you have some pain, you go maybe to a chemist and buy some painkillers. What do you do when you are emotionally drained? So exactly that's what you do. So we definitely walk the journey with people. We create awareness in like what we're doing today. Is there hope after infidelity? Yes.
All right. So your Njuru?
Yes.
I'm going to call it Morris. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. So Morris, do you agree with how Triza has described your role?
Absolutely. What I can say is that, just as you have said, we look at those three components: your thought, your feelings, your emotions, and behavior. And we work with you. To us, we say we don't work with patient, we work with client. So believing that the people we are working with are the bearer of the solution. We don't just come to bring a solution, but to work collaboratively with them so that we resolve any psychological, emotional difficulties that they are having. Yes.
So as a psychologist, thoughts, feelings, behavior. Do people come to you after infidelity?
Oh yes, many times. Many times they definitely come, and time they'll come just one person. So that time we don't treat it as a couple therapy, and other times they'll come both of them. There is a cheating in it. So that's where we began, you know, because I mean, they presented themselves and you need to walk the journey with them because they've come, there is a distraction. So what we look at is there is infidelity, okay, then why are you here? How do you want we take it up? Yes.
All right. So how, I mean, out of every 10 people you see, Maurice,
yes.
How many come to you on account of infidelity? Just to get a sense of how prevalent it is.
From 1 to 10, give it 3 to 4. Yes.
3 to 4, which is a significant number.
Yes, quite a significant number.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit how you work. Say an individual comes to you and they have, or let's just start from the question we're asking this morning. Is there hope, Teresa, after infidelity, or is it a depends type answer?
Well, there is hope after infidelity. Why? Because how are we, or what is the hope that we are defining? You know, even a time when people agree it's separation and divorce, each on their way, it's still hope because there is life after that. So if you're referring to this as life after, definitely there is life after. However, we can just come and we say, yes, you can go out there and you cheat, because there is hope, you know. It's not something to hold on. So that's something we always let the clients and anyone who is watching us this morning to get to know. So even before we go to hope, if there is or no, let's just start with what is this infidelity. And you know, when you talk about infidelity, cheating is in so many ways, you know. People will go out there, they'll have, you know, what we call extramarital affairs, their partners out there. Others can just be emotional infidelity. Yes, you are with someone, but emotionally they are disconnected.
So the levels of infidelity?
Yes.
Or types of infidelity?
Yes. So they're very different. But what we say is cheating. So even before we go to hope, let's start with the elephant in the house.
What is infidelity?
It's cheating. And cheating can be in so many ways. Some people will have some multiple or just one sexual partner out there. Others, it's all about being emotionally disconnected with your spouse. So yes, I'm here with you, but I'm busy thinking about Olive that have never met, but I watch her on TV, you know. So that's still infidelity, because you're already in a way that you are dysfunctional. You are not taking, you let the gap be filled by someone else and not your partner. Also, we have infidelity nowadays. We're in the era of social media and online and all that. Someone is busy, you know, they are just chatting and doing all these things with other people, but seated next to their partner, it's still infidelity. So it's always good to define.
Really?
Oh, yes.
I'm not sure I'm convinced, Maurice.
Yes, what CEO is saying is true, that we have the levels of infidelity, and she have touched very ably on emotional infidelity. Because every time there is infidelity, the question should be, what is the underlying causes? But even before we come there, we have emotional infidelity, we have even financial infidelity, we have cyber sex infidelity. Those are like what you may call the levels of infidelity. And now the bigger one that people may want to talk about is the physical contact, or now the sexual infidelity. But as Teresa have said ably, is that emotional infidelity, according to statistics, shows that is the most distressing one.
Which one?
Emotional infidelity.
Is the most distressing one?
Yes, because you can imagine when someone is with you and is not with you. You know, that is more distressing. It's better you go out, or you either be here and be with me. And they say emotional infidelity is more distressing, that sexual infidelity is more upsetting. Actually, they say emotional infidelity is more distressing and sexual infidelity is more upsetting. And they say distressing is more pervasive or long-term, more than the sexual one. Meaning, why? Because you can imagine when you are with someone in the house, and you see there is no that, again, open communication. There is no that playfulness that is around there, you know. And the person is there, either the wife or the husband, but they are not there. So it is true. And emotional infidelity is more distressing and is more destabilizing and traumatizing, for that matter.
But I mean, if you have been married, I'm just arguing for, you know, if you've been married for a number of years, sasa mnaambiana
There is a lot of things, yeah? And it's not just about the lengthy or how long you've been married. It's all about the commitment. How committed are you to your partner? Because each and every day, we have different days, like they are not the same days all through. And one thing, Oliver, I'd like to make clear today is that cheating is very much intentional. Someone decides to wake up and go out there and cheat, and there is no any...
Even emotionally?
Yes.
Yes.
Cheating is cheating. Whichever form of infidelity. Now, in this case, we want to
But how do you, what is the distinction between feeling disconnected from somebody and emotionally cheating on them?
It's your reaction after being disconnected. Are you aware that you're already disconnected? Do you effectively communicate to your partner how you are feeling about it? What do you do after you realize that emotionally you are disconnected from this person? Do you get to just discuss and ask each other what could be the reason of disconnection, or how you can work on it, and what is amiss or something that is happening? Do you get to do that? It's the reaction after that. Yes, so when you share, then it becomes a shared problem. It's not a one-man show, neither a one-man, task that it's you to work with your emotional disconnections. It's for both of us. Let's get to know where is there some boundaries that we've put or that we've just neglected. Is there anything that we can do? Is it that I'm spending so much time at work that I am not there for you? How can we make it more better? You see, communication is actually what we say is with effective communication, we'll have saved like 90% of today's divorce and separation cases. Effective communication is one key area. So yes, it's there, because the moment you don't talk it out, you do not share with your partner, it leaves a gap, and that brings in a third party. In this case, a third party, can even be too much on TV time that your partner feels you've taken away their time, That's what, again, we call object infidelity. It's also good for people to get to know. For people, it's football, at least it's going longer.
Object infidelity. So people, somebody can cheat on you with football.
Yes, because they do not want to be, to watch and all that. They're actually running away from something. So if you're the person who goes out for social connections, but your main intention is not just to go and meet up with friends, it's to run away. If you are what we term, quote unquote, workaholic people, they're the first people to get to work, the last people to leave, and they're leaving because it's time to leave, like they need to close the doors, but they're running away from something. Anytime you find yourself, you are working towards running away, delaying getting home, or getting home early because your partner is not there, get to know you are actually in the line of what you're discussing today.
Absolutely. I'm just shaking my head. I mean, does avoidance equal infidelity?
Yeah, you see, yes, because it is leading toward the projection of infidelity. What we are saying that, you see, people come together to meet each other's need. And one that need is the need of connection. And as Teresa have said, you find there are people who are escaping from connecting. Because when you connect, then in that connection is when now you are allowing each other to be able to feel, to feel each other, to be able to communicate. And so if then you take an object and you make this object, there is an example that is given of someone who looked for a wife to marry and he didn't find one. Then he went, he cut a tree and he captured a woman, and he said, this will be my woman, because apparently he didn't find someone who is attractive enough to her level, or to his level, that matter. So you see, that was an object. And you see, people has a way of escaping from connecting. As you're saying, you don't want now to communicate. You don't want to talk issues over, because another component is constant argument and conflict can also lead to that projection. So you find people then are not wanting to resolve their issues, so they go to the object, they go to football. Then what happened? Your partner start feeling not cared for. He start feeling neglected. He start feeling not wanted. he starts feeling, oh, the football is more important than I do. So, and they start having these compounded minds and thought and everything. At the end of the day, they have also to look somewhere else they can find their fun. Yeah, so when she's saying about that object infidelity, yes, because that is where it all starts.
But okay, so how we have stages of grief. You say it's all in the reaction, right? So do we have stages of, we've talked about types of infidelity, right? So do we have stages of infidelity, how you feel, the feelings, so you've talked about the thoughts, feelings and behavior when you're feeling your partner is not entirely there with you.
Yes. We can't really talk about stages of infidelity because cheating is cheating. Even if it has just taken place, let's say for just one day, a week, it's something that has been there for a couple of years. Cheating is cheating. And let's not validate cheating by it was only one day. It was a one-night event. You know, they met with this person at their workplace. And so it was accidental. No, nothing is accidental. Because, yes, nothing like accidental when it comes to cheating. It's one person who intentionally, consciously decides this is the time I will go out there and I cheat. And that's why when we talk about infidelity is one painful journey. It brings along betrayal. You've talked about stages of grief. Infidelity brings along loss and grief. There is loss. And when we talk about is there hope after infidelity, what we tell people is you've come and you've brought in your marriage as a shell. So tell us what you want we put in. Do you want we just go and we crash it? Do you want we throw it away? Do you want we start rebuilding? So one thing, the hope we are talking about is not continuation. Life can never be the same again after infidelity. That's one thing that people need to get to know. Infidelity, we can never be here and we want to normalize what is abnormal because infidelity is not normal. And when you are in a marriage relationship, unless, because, and when you talk about infidelity, it's also good to be cognizant that for some religion, it's okay to marry even a second, a third, a fourth wife. But what were the goals of you people coming together into a marriage institution? Did you both define that I'm okay and I'm open to having another, you know, like having another wife, another husband into the marriage? That time, that's not infidelity. It's the purpose of this marriage. But in a scenario where one of the goals was, we are here to, you know, it's just two people coming to be one, to live a life. Anything that comes in between, definitely it's not acceptable.
All right, so we have James on the line. James, you have a question or a comment?
A comment.
Go ahead, we can hear you.
Thank you very much, Orif, and your fellow journalists, any panelists.
Thank you.
And I just want to commend the two panelists. They are doing a very good job talking on infidelity. But I would like to broaden the topic further by saying that we need to look at the family of origin issues. Because when somebody is getting married to somebody, he brings a lot of baggage from his family of origin. And some of those issues that are causing infidelity are primarily from the family of origin. Maybe like the trust issues. A lot of expectations. When we are coming to marriage, we expect a lot, and then we do not look at them critically. And of course, we have a lot of ignorance as far as picking our partners is concerned. That is when you are married when you are very young. So I would like the two panelists to expand more on. They are talking about the emotional infidelity. It is there. Financial infidelity. It is there. The sexual infidelity. It is there. But all these people who are doing that are trying to meet a certain need. These are needs that are not met. So whoever is trying to maybe to have another partner, maybe to go to the internet, to go to do something, they are meeting certain needs which are not there. So I would like even to recommend comprehensive premarital counseling before marriage. Comprehensive premarital counseling before marriage, especially in our churches, because something which is not there. And that counseling should be done by professional counselors, not just quacks, professional counselors, not just somebody who has done one unit in counseling and thinks that he can handle people's issues. So I quite commend the two psychologists. I'm also a psychologist. Marriage and family therapy from the Muru.
All right.
Yeah. Yes, Kagwema Bongwa. People know me well as Kagwema. James Kawil Mabogwa.
Thank you very much for that contribution, James. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
You too, James. Have a good day. All right. So he says we've talked a lot about the types of infidelity. We haven't really addressed the causes of infidelity. So he says maybe needs are not met. Expectations are different depending on the family of origin. He says baggage. People come into relationships with baggage. Perhaps people were not adequately prepared, premarital. Counseling. What do you make of his contribution? Sorry, I did I cut you short?
No.
Oh,
it's okay.
So, Maurice?
Yes, that was a very good pointer from James, because he's looking at it from the background of the person. We usually say it is good to understand the organism in its environment, because you don't see a person as just an entity. He comes with an environment. So as the person is getting to marriage, what is he carrying? Who is he coming with? What kind of environment? An environment is both psychological, emotional, and even financial. What environment is he coming with? So you find someone come into a relationship, and maybe he grew without father, or he grew with an authoritarian father. He grew with abuse. And so he learned from a very young age not to trust other people, because trusting is, when you trust, you get injured. When you trust, something bad happen. So they are coming with the scars. So when this person come into marriage and there is no mediation has been done in terms of premarital counseling, he will carry the same thing. You know, our boss Teresa says this, that traumatized people traumatize others. So someone gets into a relationship and they have an issue with trust. So even when you want to come close to them, they're asking, what is the catch? What is the catch here? So they start having a dance. You loved someone, you want to be close to someone, but somehow they can't get close to you. And they don't know what is it. They love you, but they hurt you. And they don't know how to go about this. These are the things now that need to be taken to counseling, as James has rightly said, so that you resolve them. Because if you don't resolve them, they will again be transferred into a relationship that may cause now the underlying causes of infidelity. You know, you have your wife, you have your husband, but you seem not to connect. There are things you are carrying. There are things you have not shared, you know. And to us, we see them in counseling very vividly. And we can understand. You find somebody who has been abused, for example, take a young girl who has been abused sexually. If that one is not responded to, if it is not mediated, it can have an impact into that relationship. And they may end up having what we call self-damaging beliefs and behaviors. You know, every time they come close to you, they hurt you. And so you end up not connecting. You end up not meeting each other's need. And then someone starts finding another way out. Yeah.
It's a popular saying, hurt people, hurt people.
Exactly.
Just responding, your response, Teresa, to what James has said.
He's very much right. What we say is, at time, infidelity may just be a symptom. You know, that is having family that are, you know, breaking up may just be a symptom of maybe more deeper underlying issues. And so even when it comes, we really want to know, are we really dealing with a symptom or the real issues? Because if we don't, it's just like what we say. A baby has fever, and when you start giving painkillers, you're not getting maybe to test and get to know, is it pneumonia or what exactly are you dealing with? Because what that means is, after painkiller is over, again, fever, you know, temperatures will still rise again. So the same happens, because when you come in and you want to deal with infidelity as what has been presented and not dig deeper to get to know how have we gotten here. So just like what James has said, we do not call it a two-people affair. We deal directly with the person who has cheated or who now has, you know, gone out of the marriage institution in whichever way, be it emotional, be it the physical, or whichever way it is. So with that, we want to know the triggers. We want to know how they found themselves there. He has talked about the family of origin. Most of the time we talk about childhood traumas get to manifest in our today's lives, even in our marriages. Look at something like attachment style. We have different attachment styles. Those who have come from very secure attachment style, even when they're in marriage, they're still having that, you know, security, and they don't feel like anytime when I'm not seeing my partner or when I do not know what they're doing, they're already cheating on me. Are you seeing? It's coming from the time they were kids, because the right attachment style, no one was there to introduce the right or to attach with them the way they should be. So some people, they grow up, they adapt like, let's say, avoidance. We have it. We have anxious attachment style. When we are anxious is each and every time, if I'm not with you, then you are with someone. And definitely, yeah, this person is with someone because they are with colleagues at work. They are in business. They are in meeting. They are in a setup like this. But doesn't mean that they are cheating on you. So some people will be projecting the unprocessed childhood traumas into their marriages. Some people is all about identity crisis. And we talk about when it's teenage, we say we have identity phase. Everyone goes through teenage phase. Identity phase means if it's well dealt with, then there is no crisis. But when it has not been dealt with, crisis comes, and it's seen in marriages.
All right. So we have two callers. We have Isaac, and sorry, we have Richard, and we have Isaac. We'll start with you, Richard. Richard, yako ni swali au ni comment?
Ni comment.
Go ahead.
My comment is, I would like them to explain why people get married. I think there's a mistake why people get married, and why do they get married? And I think some people get married for the wrong reasons. They get married for maybe security, or to be married, you know. And the other thing is, after people stay for so long when they are single, I think there's some addictive of plan days and things like that. I think this counseling should be based on that. Like, there are people who, you've been single for like 30 years, you become a free spirit. Now, at what time do you decide to settle? And maybe you become addictive to plan days, where cheating becomes a normal lifestyle.
All right. Thanks for that, Richard. Let's hear from Isaac now.
Good morning, madam.
Morning, Isaac. You can go ahead.
Yeah, mine is to congratulate what the program you have brought. That is very okay. I admire the gentleman and the lady who are presenting it. My very particular thing to them is one. Yeah, my particular issue to them is one.
All right, go ahead.
I would wish that these two gentlemen lady to tell us the kind of cluster people, the group of people are normally affected, the age group.
Age group
normally falls between mature people or very early in marriage. Two, I'd wish maybe to request that these guys, if they're able to visit churches. Yeah, to visit churches and educate people about these issues is very important, because that is where they can get the masses. Their message is very important. It's very good to enhance the families. It's only that if they can get the groups, the social groups like the churches, so that they can educate and tell people about these issues in fidelity, because otherwise we are losing the society. Yes, kindly. Thank you so much. I'm very happy and I'm very proud about that gentleman and the lady.
All right, thank you for that, Isaac. So we do need to take a break, but on the other side, you will respond to what has been raised by Isaac and Richard. Do stay tuned. You're watching Your World.
Welcome to the Nation Shopping Festival, the biggest soccer sale in town, featuring 500 vendors ready to bring you the best deals and products. Discover everything you need under one roof, including a dedicated kids playing area and a tempting food court with mouth-watering delicacies. Visit www.nationshoppingfestival.com for more information and join us at the University of Nairobi grounds from 4th to 9th December. Make this holiday season extra special with the Nation Shopping Festival.
Hivyo vipeni vyako kidogo ndo umeamua uviharibu kwa mambo yasiyokuwa na maana.
Ana.
Oh please. Sina muda saizi. I'm busy. Unaweza enda?
Mama. Kama ungekuwa umelea Tony kama mtoto wako wa kuzaa, haungekuwa unaingilia mambo yake ya muhimu. Kama haki ya kumchagulia bibi.
Hautamuongelesha mama hivyo.
Ningekushauri hivi. Badala ya kujali uamuzi wangu, shughulikia ndoa yako.
Unajua nachosema wewe?
Watch out for Safaricom Santa coming to a town near you with Christmas surprises. Sambaza furaha this Christmas na Safaricom.
Enter a world where knowledge is put into practice and the heart of African agriculture beats loudly and energetically.
Welcome to Kikao,
a revolutionary talk show that is changing how people think and look at agriculture in Africa.
This is the particular variety that is suitable.
We will seek to demystify GMOs.
Kikao is a platform where African agriculture takes center stage.
Seeds, just which is which.
From seasoned farmers to thought leaders, they direct us toward a future in which livelihoods thrive and nations prosper.
It became possible to move genes from unrelated organisms.
Kikao, every Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. only on NTV.
My skin is my identity, my strength. It's unique and deserves care made specially for me. New Nivea Radiant and Beauty Advanced Care with 5 oils and 5 vitamins. 48-hour nourishment. Helps reduce appearance of stretch marks in just 2 weeks. New Nivea Radiant and Beauty Advanced Care for your shade of beautiful.
The Sport Essence is a light serum, quickly absorbed to clear dark marks. Rich moisturizing cream is a gel cream type that deeply hydrates and prevents dark marks. I highly recommend Melano CC for healthy and happy skin. Roto.
Good morning. Welcome back to Your World. The question we're asking this morning is there hope after cheating? We have Enoch on the line. Enoch, you're calling us from Migori? All right, can go ahead. Enoch, if you don't mind, you could turn down the volume on your television set so that we hear you clearer. Enoch, we're struggling to hear you a little bit because of the sound of your TV. Okay, you can go ahead now. Unaweza zungumza na Kiswahili.
Sasa nilikuwa na msichana.
Endelea Enoch.
Nilikuwa nafanya kazi Kisumu, sasa alikuwa anafanya na Migori. Sasa vile alienda Migori. I decided to go and visit that girl. So after that, nilipata changes mingi. Sasa vile tulikuwa tunaongeanga kitambo, kuna different.
Alright, Enoch, just talk, unaweza reduce sauti ya TV, alafu utuambie tu ukiendelea.
Sasa, unanipata?
Nakupata Enoch.
Sasa, huyu msichana alichange all of a sudden. Na tena alikuwa na watu nyumba kwenye zake.
Alright, Enoch, kidogo tunapata shida ya kukupata, lakini I don't know whether you've gotten the gist of what he's trying to say, right? Okay, so Enoch, asante kwa kupiga simu. I was like, is it kuongea mfululizo? Jackson, kuongea mfululizo. I was like, ongea ukiendelea. But just a lot of people seem interested in this subject of infidelity. Yeah. They say they've asked. So we had the call from Richard, and is he the one who asked why do people get married? We had the call from Isaac, who says, you know, what age groups does this primarily affect? Is it the younger guys, is it the more mature? And he said you need to visit churches. And Enoch telling us, speaking from experience, he was living in Kisumu, I think he said, or is it the girlfriend was living in Kisumu, and he was basically distance. You know, is that a contributory factor? We'll start with you, Teresa.
Yeah, it is. When you're not there, you need to have some plan, get to know, because one of us need to go and work outside. So how are we going to ensure that we are still emotionally connected? Remember, we talked about feelings, thoughts, and your actions, yeah? So it's all about, for this behavior, to ensure nothing, no disconnection. Does it mean that really couples can't be okay, even when they are way far apart? And the answer is no, they need to be okay. Just the difference is physically they're not there more often. This comes with effective communication. This comes, again, we go back to what we talked about. Are you feeling secure? Have you discussed about even going out or being in different towns before? Someone has asked about the reason why people get into marriage. Yes, it's very true that premarital is something that people have really taken for granted. Just because I'm out there and I feel of that right page of getting married, and there is this handsome man, beautiful lady, now we are okay and we go on. But do people sit down to define the goals for this marriage? To get to know why indeed do I need to be married to this person? Because it's from there that you get to know. Some people, they're marrying, having unprocessed issues. I'm getting married because I never grew up with a dad. And so I'm looking unconsciously for that father figure in my man. We know very well there is up to the limits that you can be with your dad, you know. And so that's why later on, like 3, 4, 5 years, because to you this is your dad, this is your mom, and so there is, you are limited. I mean, it can't just be all lovey-dovey throughout. So there is up to the point that you cannot sustain this anymore, because there is what you can't do with your mom, what you can do with your dad. So are you there because you want to heal in your marriage? And that's what we keep on saying. First, you need to fix your person. You need to fix yourself as a person. You've talked about hurt people do hurt people. If you move into this marriage without even dealing with your past issues, and past issues may just be your last breakup, how was it dealt with? Most of the time people will meet and the question will be, so when were you last dating and all that? And it was just a question and you move on. But did you get time to ask, how did you deal even with the heartbreak? Am I with you because you're the next person that have seen in? And about the question of at what point is it when they are newly married, when they progress, is that we do not have any definite time that now during this time they can go out there and cheat.
All right. So Enoch, we have Enoch on the line. Enoch, unaweza zungumza sasa, tupatie hadithi ama swali lako ukiendelea tu kuongea. Tunasikiza.
Sasa amepata kazi nzuri sana Kisumu. Nilikuwa Kisumu sasa, nilipata kuna mabadiliko vile nilikuja kumtembelea. Amechange hata kuongelesha kitambo. I don't know what's come over that. Hata hiyo ndio swali nilikuwa nazo, unaweza nisaidia aje?
Sorry, enda kusiku kupata swali lako ni gani? Tena rudia.
Nilikuwa nauliza. Nilikuwa na msichana. We are in 2 years in marriage.
2 years or?
We are in 2 years in marriage.
Oh, 2 years in marriage,
Asa all of a sudden alipata kazi Migori, but I was doing job at Kisumu. Vile nilikuja kumtembelea. Alikuwa amechange tu, sasa hataki kuniongelesha kitu kama hiyo, ni kama amepata mtu mwingine. So mnaweza nisaidia aje hapo?
All right. So he was working or is working in Kisumu. He went to Migori. He's been married for 2 years, and he says she changed. She's not speaking to him. So he suspects there's somebody else in the picture. What advice do you have for him, Morris?
Yeah. For what I would say for Enoch is that he need to escalate the conversation with, his wife or the girlfriend for that matter. He doesn't.
Sio kama unaweza mjibu kwa Kiswahili.
Okay.
Ndio kupate vizuri.
So, acha nijaribu Kiswahili.
Jaribu Morris, unaweza na kuamini.
So Enoch, vile naweza kuambia ni ya kwamba ujaribu kuwa na mazungumzo na mkeo, usifanye tu kukisia kana kwamba anadanganya au hadanganyi. Ni vizuri wakae chini, ye mwenyewe amwambie kuna mambo ninaona hapa, siku hizi hatuongei, siku hizi tulikuwa unanipigia tunaongea kwa simu, unajua tunakuwa na fani pamoja, siku hizi naona iko chini sana, na nasikia ni kama tena ule uhusiano tulikuwa nao pale mwanzoni unaisha. Ni nini hii ambayo imefanya tukafika hapa? So aanze kuuliza hivyo, asifanye kana kwamba anamuashiria kwamba anafanya kile kitendo cha kwenda nje. Akifanya hivyo sasa yule mwenzake atafunga na hataongea. So aianze polepole, we call it gentle startup. Amuulize, kuna vile siku hizi ningependa kuwa karibu na wewe, na nasikia kweli ninakukosa, na ninapenda sana saa ile tuko pamoja, lakini siku hizi nasikia kwamba hatuko pamoja, hatuzungumzi, na nasikia ninatamani yale mapenzi tulikuwa nayo. Haendi kusema siku hizi uniongeleshi, wewe uko mbali, ni kama uko na mtu mwingine. Ukianza hivyo sasa ni vita. Kwanza lazima uwe na njia. We normally say it is the how, it is not the what. You need to learn the way of the how. So amuende polepole, amuulize, alafu aseme yale yeye anapenda na vile yeye huwa anamfanya asikie. Hivyo sasa wataanza kuongea. Ndio maana tunaongea juu ya communication. Sasa wakianza kuongea hivi ndio tasema, unajua wewe unipigiagi simu, mimi nakuaga huku Migori peke yangu, wewe uko kazi, na sasa mimi nakukosa. Hivyo wakienda sasa hapo anaweza sema na kuna siku niliteleza. Sasa waongee hivyo sasa.
Yeah. All right. Triza. Yes. There are those who say monogamy is a natural. And men have needs. Men are usually the majority are accused of infidelity. So this is more biological than intentional hurt. What do you say to that?
That's just trying to normalize abnormality, to validate and to justify maladaptive behaviors. That I can go there out and cheat because I'm a man, so it's okay. And we are also, as a society, I think we've allowed it to happen for so long, where they'll even talk about it rains everywhere. As long as he will go out, he will come back to the house, she will go out, she will come back. Even there is the song, I don't know, Nairobi, Anayakupea, Ananipe, such.
The Sauti Sol one? I think so, yes.
Yes, so like we've tried to normalize something that should not be the case, because the question is, was that part of the agreement when both of you came together, that it's okay because biologically you are a man? Those are just mere justifications, and some people, when you go like now for Christian, they'll tell you, oh, even Abraham had many wives and all that. And the question is, how comes we nowadays go to church, we are no longer in our shukas and all that? I mean, we are in a very different era. So that being a man is not a cause for infidelity. Let's not normalize that. But we have other triggers. And nowadays, Olive, it's not just for men. In fact, women are even cheating more because of the women empowerment, and what a man can do, it can even do better. And one thing we tell people, do not be vengeful in your marriage, because have realized you are cheating and now it's my turn two wrongs can never make a right. Can you just go back? And now you say you are processing. It's what we are talking about. Now the hope that is there is the understanding that yes, this has happened. However, given where we are, it's not continuation, not business as usual. And we tell people, do not be very fast in expecting forgiveness. Comes with time. There is loss. Allow the other person to go through the loss, the betrayal, and even the guilty trip, the blame. Maybe it's because of my busy work. I've seen people even resigning their place of work, and because they've been made believe it's because I'm so busy, that's why he's going out there to cheat. It's because I do not have time to be with him, to go and cook. And says who that you are married to go and cook for him? Says who? Because you both need to be there and agree. And by the way, with this, I'm not just attacking one gender because it's both ways. So it's all about who are you? Effective communication. I like how Maud Fixen has said it so well. Talk about how you feel, not what you're thinking. I feel since now I'm in Kisumu, you are in Migori, I'm not feeling the way I used to feel. I feel there is a disconnect. Not to attack, because the moment you attacked, you go into defense. And you might realize maybe for the gentleman, it's something he did the last time they were in Kisumu. I'm just in assumption, yeah? Something he did. Maybe he took the entire bread or just something, and the lady is still mad at that, and she's still processing. You see? The moment there is no effective communication, we leave a gap, and this void can be filled with just anything, because equally he can say, you're not talking to me, so maybe you're cheating, let me also go out there and cheat. That's not the case. But what we say, Olive, is in this marriage institution, there is not any enough reason as to why your partner goes out there to cheat. You can never be the cause. They talk about women making noise in the house, men, they are being, violent in the house, they're not bringing in money, so you also go so that you can get someone who can. Are you saying it's a gap that you want to go out there and fill? But that's a maladaptive behavior. It means it's a wrong coping mechanism. The right coping mechanism, just go and share how you feel. However, in a scenario where someone has gone out there, they've cheated, in a way, either they've been caught, they've come and confessed, because we say both people, they get to feel the pain. The one who is cheating, they also go through some guilty trip. And some people, most of the time, they'll go and tell on themselves to their partners. So when this person is betrayed and hurting and mistrust is there and all that, this other person is also feeling the guilt. So it's the ability, both of you, what do you want? Do you want to rework on this? We talk about no continuation is a journey of rebuilding. Do you want to start all over again and now you rebuild to this new? So we can only talk of hope when both have agreed to rebuild. And when you're rebuilding means you do away with all the foundation na kila kitu. Like for therapy, there is something we talk about having a third chair. You are here, you're the man, you're the woman, a third chair is the marriage. At times we even separate people. Can we just deal with you? Because maybe one person is bleeding, what we've talked about, the family of origin, and you've seen these things happening where you can only associate. Even the brother was like that, even the dad was, it's the family, it's the village, all those things. But by the time we are calling, it's the village, it's the family, we are just minimizing. You now stop. Another thing, they are being bewitched. It's like the women or the men out there, they've bewitched. And you will find the other partner is busy even fasting because they believe they are bewitched. That causes what we call minimization. You don't see this as a wrong behavior because you have something else to blame on. So it's about calling out, this is the cheating that is affecting this marriage. However, marriage is built by two people, you and this other person. Can we talk and we fix you? We also fix this other person so that together you can form a good marriage institution.
All right. So whether it's financial cheating or object infidelity or cyber sex infidelity, there are those who take the view that a man cheating is different from a woman cheating. That for a man, it is scratching an itch. It means nothing. For a woman, it is worse because it involves emotions. Your response to that, Maureen Fixton?
When you come to matters of infidelity, for objectively being able to examine it, is take two genders out and look at what is damaged. So the boss between the husband and wife is not the husband nor the wife, it's the relationship. Yeah. So when you see the relationship, what is calling the third chair, then everybody feel the same. When a woman goes out, when a man goes out, the feeling is the same, because what you are hurting is the relationship. And relationship is a living organ. You know, it lives, it dies, it thrives, it can be injured, it can be regenerated. And that's why when you're asking if there is hope, yes, there is hope. There is a lady called Esther Perel says, because she had worked with a number of people with infidelity, she said that she has seen couples remarry their same partner 3 times. She says, I'm sorry, I didn't get up to be the kind of the husband you wanted me to be. Will you mind marrying me again? So they are kind of giving each other an opportunity to work on the relationship, not on the person, because every person have defects. Every person have their dark side. It's only that sometimes it is the dark side of yours that have come first. And that's why you should not be very fast to point a finger to the other one. We usually say when you see a mad person, you say, there goes I, by the grace of God I am. So every time something happens, before casting suspicion on the other one, before going and attacking, why don't you pause and ask, how did we get here? How did we arrive here? What did we miss? Very objectively. When you do that, you are going to start finding solutions. And it can even re-engineer your relationship to the better side. Because you may find, there's a question that was asked, why do people get married? You get married to meet each other's need, and even as you meet your own needs. So if these needs are not met, we are human beings. Things happen. But when they happen, it is not now you are licensed to go out or to stay. It is a time of taking stock and being calm and asking yourself, how did we get here?
All right.
That, when you ask that question, it is very important. And just to tie that one with something else, this is on another perspective. We have the philosophy of pleasure. Psychology says we are living in the era of dopamine. This generation is of a dopamine generation because we have 3 components of love: passion, intimacy, and commitment. And sometimes passion can go down. Sometimes intimacy can go down. And you are left with commitment. And then you start having yin and yang and all those things. But you can always regenerate yourself. So to me, what I'm saying, there is hope after infidelity. But don't point a finger to the other one. You know, be calm and ask yourself questions that are very objective, not attacking one. And therein, you can find you regenerate your marriage and your relationship.
All right.
Yes.
Your last word, Teresa?
Yes.
Your last word?
Yes.
On this subject, yes.
Okay. Is to say there is hope when it comes to infidelity. And hope comes with being authentic self and being ready to work for this and ensuring that it doesn't happen again. Also, we ask for patience. Healing is a process. It's not a one-day event. It may take just one day, one night to cheat, but it can take years for the other partner to heal. So many other times they'll keep on reminding you, they'll keep on revisiting, get to know they also have emotions that they're processing. Allow them time if you really want to work on it. And lastly, come up with accountability plan. Most of the families don't have accountability plan because they feel letting you know where I am, you are bossing me around, or asking me where, you know, have you been? You really want to know so much about me. No, be accountable to each other. Being accountable is a sign of commitment. Set rules even during this time that you really need to be patient with each other as you heal. And yes, there is hope, not unless there is more damage, more abuse, and where death is also a possibility. And during that time, recommendation is you can still separate because there is still hope of having life even way after infidelity.
All right, thank you for helping us navigate these waters. I want to thank Teresa Kainika. She is not only a psychologist, she's a CEO, All Smiles Therapy Center, and Maury Fixton. I finally got it. And Drew, who is a psychologist, thank you not only for watching, but also for contributing. Your experience makes a huge difference. That's it for Your World. My name is Olive Burrows. Good morning.
got unbeatable shows for the whole neighborhood to choose from.
I can have my happily ever after.
So, stay connected to DSTV this holiday season to make the best entertainment yours. DSTV, it's your moment.
Dynasties are special, constant success and domination that garners deserved praise and plaudits. On the other hand, there is nothing quite like the underdog that threatens that dynasty, if only for a short time. Which is exactly where Girona fits in this La Liga season, looking to unseat the big clubs with the ultimate underdog performance.
And people come in and they're like, oh, it works. I can have ice cream and I'm not in any discomfort. I recommend Sensodyne because it works. It's brilliant.
Reach your audience instantly and make a lasting impression with Nation Sema. Affordable SMS at 0.3 Kenya shillings. Own sender ID for 10,000 Kenya shillings plus 10,000 free SMS. To sign up, please call 0790 111 111 or email us on nationsema@ke.nationmedia.com.
Hivyo vipeni vyako kidogo ndo umeamua uviharibu kwa mambo yasiyokuwa na maana.
Pana.
Oh please. Sina muda saizi. I'm busy. Unaweza enda?
Mama. Kama ungekuwa umelea Tony kama mtoto wako wa kuzaa, haungekuwa unaingilia mambo yake ya muhimu kama haki ya kumchagulia bibi.
Hautamuongelesha mama hivyo.
Ningekushauri hivi. Badala ya kujali uamuzi wangu, shughulikia ndoa yako.
Unajua unachosema wewe?
Watch out for Safaricom Santa coming to a town near you with Christmas surprises. Sambaza furaha this Christmas na Safaricom.
Welcome to the Nation Shopping Festival, the biggest soccer sale in town, featuring 500 vendors ready to bring you the best deals and products. Discover everything you need under one roof, including a dedicated kids playing area and a tempting food court with mouth-watering delicacies. Visit www.nationshoppingfestival.com for more information and join us at the University of Nairobi grounds from 4th to 9th December. Make this holiday season extra special with the Nation Shopping Festival.
In the heart of southern Africa, Botswana stands as a beacon, strategically located at the crossroads of the African continent. A country of natural beauties, vibrant culture, and progressive development.
This is NTV.
What inspired me is I felt I had a lot of material behind me that I have witnessed since I entered public life. And not only that, even from where I'm born and part of my relations who are deeply in founding the nation, like the late President Jomo Kenyatta. And then coming all the way to today, I have witnessed closely at least the three administrations, and in a real way, the fourth. And that is the Jomo Kenyatta administration. He's my uncle. And in our traditions, as you will see in the book, he calls me daughter. He has written me a letter when he was in prison and saying, my beloved daughter Wambui. So I can say I have walked the journey through the making of the Kenyan nation. And I felt like I could maybe contribute something towards our history. As the early bird, why the bird? At one time, I organized, or I was presiding rather, a workshop or a seminar in Botswana. They gave me a bird, which is the eagle, in bronze. No, it was copper, I think. And I treasured it. They told me, Beth, you soar higher and higher. Don't get tired. If you get tired, you do like an eagle, you go and renew yourself. That's how the early bird came to be. But it means the eagle. And to begin the book, it's the eagle. So the eagle and I have something in common. Let me first tell you the important chapter here is the cancer chapter, and it's the one that's opening this book, because I felt my whole life that was the most traumatic experience, and also an experience that also brought me closer, I think, to God. You start thinking, wow, is this it? And also taught me to be patient and really taught me to fight. But I put my mind, with God's help, I'm going to beat this disease. First I thought, am I going to die? But when I got over that, I decided to fight this disease with God's help. And also I got the courage to go public. You know, cancer was, people were talking, I was not talking about it. And it was so important, as then I was a minister of public health. I had a mammogram of that year, 2012. But it didn't show. Many a time, mammogram might not show. I'm not saying don't have it. It's very important you have it. It's a major test. It did not show for me. So in November, I started feeling sickly and then called my doctor. But he wanted to test everything. And that's how this Indian doctor is the one who found the lump. Cancer was confirmed. And now that's how the treatment was to begin. That's what really helped me find out early. What inspired me to start the Cancer Foundation? Of course, having been in public health, I had seen how bad this cancer is, how traumatic, and also how expensive. And the best way really to beat cancer is, if we can, to prevent. So we need education more, first and foremost, for people to know, to be told, what do we need to do? Is it our diet, which we have to watch our diet, the environment, all these fertilizers. I banned GMOs because through cabinet, I presented to cabinet, and the President Kibaki and the rest of the cabinet agreed it's not good for us for consumption, because our scientists has done through chemistry, what was really going on. Up to now, we have screened about 15,000 women and men. We do breast, cervical, and prostate cancers. And also men come in big numbers, which is good. I wanted to also encourage men also to get checked for breast. Once a while, if one feels any difference, it's not that only women who get breast cancer. They should not feel embarrassed to get checked. If we could have a yearly, thorough, and I hope this, the new system, which the President has launched, I hope it will include everybody being able to get thorough testing once a year. That is a good way for prevention, or treating early. But where we need more money is really prevention, so the wards can be empty. But we do the opposite. President Moi, having been vice president for my uncle for many years, and I was with my uncle many times, I got to know President Moi quite well. I wasn't that close during his administration, but then I had also joined politics, although I was in the opposition. It was not difficult for me to call him if I needed to do something from him or to talk to him, and he will answer the phone. If I don't get him, he called me back. In opposition, we didn't get money for bursary from Moi. But I would call him, tell him I have this, and you're in my constituency, and ask him for funds, for Harambee money. And he gave. One time he gave me 100,000. Of course, that's, when you think of Moi, then maybe that was so much. But to me and my children, it was a lot. I'm a founding member of DP. We were meeting every day at Jenga Karume's Chianda, now to formulate the chama, about 12 of us. I was the only woman. And that was also, and that's when we were fighting for multi-party. And I had a Range Rover, a blue Range Rover, and it became like the feature of those meetings we were doing illegally. Then they would be dispersed, and then we rush in these vehicles, we tunakimbia with the vehicle, and then the cameras, people would be taking pictures. I think I was featured too often. I don't know whether that's how they decided I'd be arrested. I don't know why. We were literally beaten by the Askaris. It was a very difficult time, really harassed. And I went to Orengo's Harambee. I was the chief guest. The same thing happened. So my beginning was kind of, yeah, very, very rough, kind of.
So it's a government of liars, cowards, and they should face the opposition.
What are you going to do now?
They made agenda rule that every country have 1/3 women representatives to Yala. And Parliament used to choose those who will go, will join Yala. And our Parliament, they did not choose any woman at all. Give a memo or a protest to office of the President. We marched Mother Karoa, Ngilu, Petitet, and many other women and some men supporters to the presidents. Only they did not open the gates for us, so we gave through the fence. But the PS at that time was so in office of the president, he came to take the letter. So we knew he has reached. The next day was the swearing in Arusha. So we hired a bus and we left here at 3 and we won. Kenya delegation was not sworn in. We blocked it. And Moi was furious. He was not amused. So he told me, and for some reason he thought I was, because maybe I was very vocal about women issues. Every time anything women, I was blamed. That's how Margaret Kamar was appointed. Remember, Margaret was appointed to Yala. She was the first one to be appointed, but there were supposed to be 3. But Kenya did not appoint 3. But then anyway, at least was better than nothing. So the other battle was when we went to Beijing. And then we came back with what had been, we had passed as resolutions, the men in Parliament and Moi. And they said that Nyiba went with a hairdresser. Maybe you don't know. Nyiba was the minister for Jeddah, just to bring Beijing down. So when I went, I complained to Moi about it. You know what he said to me? But Beth, those, when I narrated South Africa, Botswana, all those countries, they have women, Rwanda, no. It's only Kenya. We don't have any women in power. Just Nyiva in cabinet. Moi told me. But in those countries, women fought for independence also. Can you imagine? At Mashomudoni, we had women also in the forest. So I told him, even Kenya, we had women fighting for independence. We had, it was Masho. And those who are not fighting out there, they are the ones who are feeding this Mau. That's where Wandad came from. And that's how I came even to move Wandad here in Kenya. You know, I'm the one who moved the 2/3. So we had ups and downs with President Moi. But I think because of the older relationships, how I knew him and he knew me, and he used to come home, he tolerated me. People fought so hard, even lost their lives for multi-party. And now, to try to go back on that, I think it's getting Kenya back to bad days, going backward instead of going forward. We cannot call ourselves a democracy if we are pulling everybody to one party, trying to reduce criticism of the government. I know there is this talk of building an office for the official opposition, which is a good thing. Even President Kibaki, when we were in the opposition, he had an office at Parliament. It's a good thing to make opposition strong, give them room to work from, because they're also working for the public. But you should not buy their members of Parliament which is their strength now, which is the way you work with people. One person will not be able to make change on anything. There's also a lot on women leadership. Elections are very difficult for women for many reasons. Women, most of them have no resources. And forget even bribing, you don't have to bribe, but even a straight election is very expensive. I told my husband, why should we elect a woman? What can she do for us? So, and that was, I think, the year that I wasn't elected, 1992. So we thought by nomination, by this woman getting to serve, now people get to know. And then the traditional feeling that women are not leaders. In 97, I was then elected 3 times, non-stop. Anything happened to a woman anywhere, like now we hear things happen, we were there. The women would rush there to try. We identified with women problems, especially where it's related to discrimination. Even we used to challenge judgments if we think it is discrimination. So it was awareness, bringing awareness. But now, our women leadership, when they go to parliament, I think they have not embraced that. What was really the reason for them to be there? Now, either they are fighting among themselves. During our time, parties did not matter. When it was a women issue, we all came together. I was the first founding chair of KEWOPA. Today, women have gone too engrossed in party politics. And party politics, most of it is men-driven, almost all of it. So women don't come on it, the limelight. At least this is good. I saw the current Ruto, President Ruto, has appointed Barire as chair of the party. That was a plus, a big plus for women. What I feel is like we have lost the women agenda. And the Phoebias youth, the Grace, all of us, many of us, that was the major, what was driving us. Women leadership should be seen to be a bit different from the men leadership, so that the society sees the need to mix, to have women as well. So I hope they will soon embrace and reach out like we did to bring other women up. Because when you are just high up there alone, it might help you, but it doesn't help the country or the society. I did write some of the experiences I had in my family. That, of course, is my family. Like maybe Mzee Kenyatta now, his days in prison, in detention. I lived some part of my childhood with them when Mama Gina got married. Of course, there is education. And one thing interesting in my marriage, and when we launched this book, it was the eve of our wedding. It was the 12th of September this year. We married very young, so we can say we grew together. We have 4, 3 girls, and our last born is a young man. He passed on last year. So my whole life has been with him, more or less. The person who really made me is Nick, and my husband, Ambassador Mugo. because he supported me fully. He encouraged me to do what I was doing. And he used to tell people, Beth's success is my success. So he looked at it that way. We were never in competition with each other. I miss him a great deal even now. This book is not about women. It's not for women. It is about Kenya. Kenya, how Kenya has developed to become a nation. Who are these people who are involved? How did they start it? Who are they? I really would encourage other writers, especially academia, leaders, political leaders, to pen down their memoirs, because memoirs includes not just your autography, is what makes it happen, so that our future generation can see how the nation began. It would be our legacy, which also we learned from our forefathers, so it's building up.
Mimi kama mbunge wako.
To get NTV News jingle, dial *811 *924#.
Skiza, non-nation.
One-seater bus ferrying a Catholic church choir from Mwingi to Nu plunged into this river, killing 32 people.
But we're in agreement, we don't have 2 years to wait. We're not going to lose any more lives in here.
It will be a memorial and Zoo Memorial Bridge.
Miaka miwili baadaye, daraja lililoahidiwa na serikali bado halijakamilika.
It is a joke on the side of the government.
Tuko na shida kwa hii mto Enziu. Kwenda sokoni ni shida.
Kwani hii bridge haina wasimamizi ambao wanaweza wakatilia mkazo.
Kama watu wamekufa zaidi ya 30, unangoja wengine wangapi wakufa?
Mother, tell me the truth. Did you really patch things up with Mrs. Irene?
Yes, darling. Because now I understand that the love that you feel for each other is very strong. I promise you that I'm not going to oppose it anymore.
How should I know what that is?
Don't pretend. Morales brought this to you earlier. You are running DNA tests on someone to see if you have a child.
I don't want your brother rubbing the fact that you have no interest right into my face.
All right then. I'll do whatever you wish.
You better do what I wished. Not just because of that. It's your obligation. Abdul and that woman are getting married. I came from there and she told me.
Head over heels.
How do you keep your toilets clean?
I use normal detergent and bleach for washing.
The detergent and bleach cleanless can leave behind yellowness, rust, and germs. Harpic's 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach, and kills 99.9% illness-causing germs in your toilet, including the COVID-19 virus.
The Kenya Medical Training College, KMTC, is celebrating its 92nd graduation ceremony on Thursday, December 7th, 2023. The event will be held at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani, Nairobi from 10 a.m. and will be live on NTV and the KMTC official YouTube channel. Visit www.kmtc.ac.ke for more information on the graduation, training programs, and application procedure. KMTC, training for better health.
How can we expect God to bless our nation with the contemptuous attitude?
When he went to make that statement, it was at
decision he made on his own and he didn't consult anyone.
Serve the people, discharge my duties.
For a moment, I wondered whether I had placed the wrong script there, but it was the right one.
Tell us about your golden headache.
That is one of the matters where I will not accept a virtual hearing. I want to be present personally and meet my accuser.
Hivyo vipeni vyako kidogo ndo umeamua uviharibu kwa mambo yasiyokuwa na maana?
Ana.
Oh please. Sina muda saizi. I'm busy. Unaweza enda?
Mama. Kama ungekuwa umelea Tony kama mtoto wako wa kuzaa, haungekuwa unaingilia mambo yake ya muhimu kama haki ya kumchagulia bibi.
Hautamuongelesha mama hivyo.
Ningekushauri hivi. Badala ya kujali uamuzi wangu, shughulikia ndoa yako.
Unajua unachosema wewe?
Watch out for Safaricom Santa coming to a town near you with Christmas surprises. Sambaza furaha this Christmas na Safaricom. This is NTV.
Kwenye ulimwengu ambao mizozo kati ya binadamu na wanyamapori hutokea mara kwa mara, mwanamke mmoja ameonyesha ujasiri mkubwa akikumbana na ndovu kwenye shughuli zake za kila siku. Fibiana Wambuga, mama wa watoto 4, huanza siku yake mapema. Hurauka asubuhi kabla ya jua halijachomoza ili kuandaa watoto wake ambao wote wapo shule ya msingi. Jua likiendelea kuangaza, huanza safari ya takriban kilomita 4 kutoka nyumbani hadi shuleni.
Saa 12 wa kasoro watu tunatoka hapa. Ni kuna mama mwingine hapa karibu hapa tulikuwa tunaenda pamoja. Tunawasindikiza mpaka pale juu. Alafu ndo turudi.
Fibiana anafahamu vyema matembezi hayo si salama kwa sababu kuna uwezekano wa kukumbana na tembo ambao ni jirani zake.
Bye. Good day. Shule na wanatoka hapo wanaenda Ngongodini na kupita hapa ndani kwa pori kote. Ndio shortcut ya kufika haraka shuleni. Lakini sasa inashindikana na wapandisha mpaka na barabara pale juu asubuhi. Ndio sasa waende ni waonyeshe mali nini ile barabara kubwa waende nayo. Na saa zingine wakifika njiani wanakutana nazo na inakuwa ni shida tena, wanakimbia. Kama juzi walitoka shuleni wakifika hapa, huyu mdogo alikuwa analia maana alikuwa amekutana nao tayari. Sasa wakawa sasa hata wamekosa amani na mimi nimekosa amani.
Huu ndio mtindo wa maisha ya familia nyingi zinazoishi katika kijiji cha Kishushe, eneo bunge la Wundanyi. Kuishi karibu na mbuga za wanyama kuna waweka katika njia ya mapambano na wanyama pori.
Kama juzi nilikuwa nimepiga ripoti shuleni kwamba watoke mapema. Lakini sasa wakawa wamechelewa shuleni, sio walikuwa wanafanya nini shuleni. Sasa ikabidi nianze kutafuta mwalimu. Nimpigie simu nimuulize mbona watoto wamechelewa na hapa kuna ndovu. Hiyo siku hiyo nikawa na wasiwasi hapa sana maana ilikuwa saa 12:30. Nikawa na wasiwasi sasa watoto nitaenda kuwatafuta wapi. Nikisema napitia na njia walikuwa wanavunja hapa ndani. Sasa nikisema tena nipandie na hapa juu walikuwa pale juu karibu na barabarani. Sasa nikasema sasa watoto ni Mungu mwenyewe alinde. Kidogo nikakaa kidogo nikasikia wakiongea pale juu, wanaongea kwa sauti sana. Kumbe kule kuongea kwao tayari wamekutana na ndovu. Walipokutana nazo ikabidi sasa wakimbie. Huyu mkubwa atafute njia wakimbie na wenzake wahepe. Na wakahepa wakafika hapa. Kufika hapa tena bado tunasikia zinavunja hapo ndani. Ndio nini usiku wake zikapitia na hapa. Hata saa zingine asubuhi mimi mwenyewe nikiwa naenda shuleni natoka hapa nakutana na wapo juu na ngojea wapite ndio nianze kutembea nini kuangalia huku na huku ndio nipite.
Licha ya changamoto hizi, Fibiana hakati tamaa na mapenzi ya mama kwa watoto wake ni dhahiri kwake.
Na hata watoto wangu wanakufa moyo. Hata saa zingine huku kwenda shule kutana na wandofu. Saa zingine huyu mdogo anaweza sema mimi siendi shule kwa sababu ya wandofu. Wacha mimi nishinde hapa kwa nyumba. Lakini saa zingine nalazimisha naambia hapana, twende. Niwasindikize ndio nirudi. Sasa hiyo imekuwa tatizo zaidi. Saa zingine jioni tukiona kama wako karibu hapa tumeona mchana, inabidi nipande mpaka pale juu niende niketi. Ningoje watoke wafika pale barabarani ndio tushuke na wao polepole tukiangalia huku na huku. Ili wasikutane na wao wakiwa peke yao.
Wanafunzi wa shule hii ya Ngogodinyi iliyopo katika eneo hili huwa hawana budi ili kutumai mambo yatabadilika siku moja. Umbali wa kilomita 70 kutoka kwao ni kijiji cha Kajire ambacho kipo chini ya mlima wa Sagala, kaunti hiyo hiyo ya Taita Taveta. Hapa mambo si tofauti kwa sababu wakazi hupambana na uvamizi wa ndovu mara kwa mara. Watoto wengi hutoka kwenye familia maskini na kilimo ndicho kitega uchumi chao.
The biggest challenge with the elephants when they are roaming around, they mostly get into the shambas where the parents have cultivated and they've planted their crops. So when they get into those shambas, they destroy the crops which are there, especially most of the times they are beans and maize, and therefore that affects the production of the crops from the farm, and therefore it ends up that the family does not get the food which they required. Even learning becomes a challenge because unafunza mtoto yuko njaa, inabidi anajikaza. So sometimes we even look for well wishers ndio at least watupatie kama ni unga ya uji. In the mornings inakuwa ni challenge mtoto kurauka sababu unapata the jumbos could be roaming around. So inabidi mzazi ya take time na mtoto amtoe kule nyumbani amlete mpaka shuleni, amwache hapo, then in the afternoon amkujie, especially hao wadogo wa ECD, amkujie tena aende naye. Then hao wakubwa inabidi tunawa release mapema because tukiwa release kuchelewa by 6 huwa the jumbos are roaming. So inabidi by that 6 watoto wao wako nyumbani.
It is a perennial problem. Most of wanafunzi hapa wanatoka locally na hawezi kaa boarding school. Wanatoka nyumbani kwao. Sasa hao wanyamapori wanazidi kufika eneo hili maeneo sana sana ya usiku asubuhi. So watoto kutoka nyumbani ile asubuhi kwenda classes hawezi fika kwa wakati unaofaa. Sababu wanakutana na hizo ndovu kwa njia. Wengine wanarudi nyumbani wanachelewa kuingia darasani. Kwa hivyo tayari hiyo ni tatizo kwa mwanafunzi. Hata apate ile masomo kwa wakati unaofaa, amechelewa shuleni. Hata si watoto pia, walimu pia. Na pia hata wazazi wengine ambao wanajaribu kupeleka watoto shule asubuhi wanarudi watoto nyumbani kwa sababu wanaogopa jioni akitoka atakuwa namna gani. So imekuwa ni kero kwa wananchi wa Kajire kwa ujumla.
Tunakutana na mkazi Moses, kilomita chache kutoka shuleni. Anasimulia kuwa alikuwa mlinzi, ila maisha yake yakabadilika ghafla baada ya kuvamiwa na ndovu.
Saa 12 za jioni, wakati nilipokuwa njiani nikielekea kazini, ndio ukakutana na mnyama alijificha kwenye mbuyu. Mahali kulikuwa na mbuyu na hiki kichaka kimefungana. So sikuwa nimemuona hapo ndani. Mimi lengo langu nilikuwa niko kwa njia natembea, maana yake nafukuza kazi, narudi kazini. Kufika kwa mbuyu tu kutaharuki, huyu mnyama amepiga kelele, hata mimi sikufahamu akupande gani. Bahati nikaja muona amesimama mbele yangu. Na huku nikiona amemnamisha mtoto msituni. Mtoto mdogo, na mtoto mdogo wake mtoto wa ndovu.
Walikuwa wawili, kwa hivyo
mama na mtoto. Ule mtoto aliposukumwa hivi ndio unaona vile msitu inainama. Kumbe naye ametoka kwa barabara. Mimi nilipoona hiyo dakika na mimi karolu, kumbe tayari ameingia. Hapo niliona giza. Hivyo ni kujamuka sijui saa ngapi za usiku. Paka baadaye ndio kuwa napata fahamu kuwa nimeumia, naye ndio nakumbuka ni ile saa niligongana na ndovu. Saa zile sasa ndio nimeona ndovu ndio amenifanya hivi. Nimeumia. Kabidi sasa kwa huo msitu, sasa siwezi kutembea. Nikakumbatia, kajivuta ndani hivi. Ndio hapo nikawa sasa najisikizia hizo alama. Na sasa hiyo siwezi jua mahali yuko. Ikabidi nikakaa hapo. Ni usiku hasa. Hakuna mahali nazaenda. Nilifikiria nitembee nikiinama. Kaona tena hiyo ni kazi bure. Manake mguu haunuki, sijui kumefanyikaje. Hata huku ndani nilienda huku tumboni, nilienda kushtukia nikiwa hospitali. Nilikuwa nafikiri ni alama ndogo sana. Lakini nilipofumua hivi niliona vitu vyangu vya ndani. Ile kibofu ilikuwa ninaiona live. Kumbe niko wazi.
Moses ambaye sasa anatumia mikongojo kutembea, kwa uchungu anasimulia kuwa maisha yake yamekuwa magumu kwake na familia yake tangu tukio hilo la kujionea kifo kwa macho mawili.
Juu mguu naumiza, juu hata kutembea kwenye shida. Hata dakika hivi vile ninavyoona hivi, ninavyokaa hivi, si ati nikuwa yani mguu uko na amani. Usiku unanisumbua sana. Sasa angalia kwa msimu huu wa upanzi, huwa ni shida, tunakuwa tukwalima tukwalinda. Hasi na ndovu tamlinda, una nguvu naye. Siyo inakuwa ni hali ya taharuki. Hata serikali tuone huruma. Hivi chakula chetu wao tunapata hapa ni cha shida sana. Huyu ndovu akikaa hapa tuna imani na ndovu. Hata kwenye waza unashinda mchana umelala. Usiku kazi za mchana utafanya lini? Kama usiku umelala hapo, mchana si unabidi ukapumzike kidogo. So hata hizo kazi za mchana huwezi fanya nyingi. Juu usiku nakumbuka kale kaunga kakilimwa sahihi, kesho sitokee mtaani. Ndio utakuwa uko njaa. Naye akiingia kama kanjia kwa shamba hiyo chakula siku moja, nao amekulima chakula mwaka mmoja.
Tunarejea kijiji cha Kishushe ambapo tunazungumza na baadhi ya wakulima waliopata hasara nyingi baada ya mashamba yao kuvamiwa na ndovu.
Kiangazi kimechukua muda mrefu from 2020 mpaka sasa hivi mwaka huu ndio tumeona mvua imenyesha na tukaona chakula tumepanda na kiko shambani. Tena si Kishushe yote, kuna Kishushe watu hawana kabisa. Sasa ndio unaona ndovu wakitoka mahali wanakimbilia tu hapa River, wakitoka mahali wanakimbilia River na Mwakilemba. Hivyo vijiji viwili vimekuwa affected sana. Ni hasara kwangu kubwa sana. Maana yale malengo nilikuwa na ile target nilikuwa nimefanya mwaka huu. Nikipata pojo nitauza nifanye kitu kingine. Kama ni biashara yangu iendelee. Hasa hizi pesa zote za biashara ndio niliweka hapa. Nimeshika mkopo nitarudisha na nini? Wanakula mpaka manyasi yale ambayo tunahitaji kuwekea ng'ombe. Kama jana waliingilia na hapa. Wakakata nyasi, wakakata mahindi. Watu wa KWS wanajaribu, lakini sasa naona ukiwaita wakija kufika nao unang'ang'ana nao tayari wanatoka. Kesho hivyo wanarudi, kesho kutwa hivyo wanarudi. Na si shamba moja, ni karibu ya wakulima wote hapa wale ambao wamepanda. Hata sijaona ndovu tangu nizaliwa kila mahindi kama ng'ombe hivi. Saizi yaani ndovu anakula hivi kama ng'ombe. Wanakula tu kama ng'ombe. Anachukua mahindi anakula, manyasi anakula. Sasa maskini sijui kama tutafanya nini. Ataomba Mungu atusaidie na atusamee. Kwa sababu tumenungunika. Kama ni mvua inaweza kwenda kwa sababu ya manunguniko.
Uharibifu hapa ni dhahiri.
Hizi ndizo dramu ambazo zimepasuliwa na nini? Na ndovu. Wanadunga na ile pembe yake, alafu wanararua kila kitu kinatoka. Sasa ni maji yakitoka. Wanakunwa, wanaenda zao. Sasa si wametuachia hasara. Yakishamwagika ni basi. Hata uwezi sema unaweza ifanyia repair. Ikishaharibu imeharibu kabisa, inararua kabisa. Maji yote yanaenda chini. Hivi hata wakati zilikuwa zinararuliwa hizi zote zilikuwa na maji. Na maji yote yakaenda hasara ambayo ni maji ambayo tulileta kwa Buza.
Wakazi wengi hapa ukesha mashambani usiku kucha kuwazuia ndovu watundu kuharibu mashamba yao. Wao hutumia kurunzi, huwasha moto na hata kupiga kelele, ila mbinu hizi huambulia patupu.
hatulali. Hata vijana kwanza sikulala kabisa. Ndovu hivi wakiingia hapa mpaka asubuhi, na mimi sina bunduki ya kuwalenga. Ni hayo mawe tu, ni urushe mpaka usikie mkono umeumia. Kama jana nilirusha mawe mpaka nikasikia mkono umeumia. Tena hiyo ndovu haitoki. Ilikuja ingia tena ikavunja mahindi ikatoka, ndio ikatoka. Tena ni vile walikuja wakaanza kupiga baruti zao. Na kama hawangekuja sisingelala hapo hapo. Kama jana sote watoto wale wakubwa walikuja lala hapa saa 9. Tukingangana na ndovu. Na wanaenda shule asubuhi. Haya asubuhi nako hawajaenda asubuhi sana vile. Wametoka hapa saa 2:30 tena wametolewa na watu na babaya zao. Kuna mzee Mwadime pale na huyu mzee Mwanyange. Wakatoa watoto ndio wakawapeleka shule. Nategemea ukulima peke yake. Na kama sasa hivi vile tulivyo na njaa, nichome makaa ndio nile. Nisipochoma makaa nitakula. Maana sina kazi na huyo mume wangu mwenyewe hana kazi. Kazi ni hiyo tu. Na vile mvua ilinyesha tulime chakula tupate. Lakini sasa kama hiyo chakula nimelima, hizo kunde zimeenda zote na ndovu. Sasa utafanya nini? Hata utashindwa. Mbegu umetafuta mbegu, udi na uvumba ukapata hiyo mbegu ukapanda, tena uje ukute yameanza flowering, yameanza kutoa yani nini tupate chakula, ndio unakuta zimeenda na ndovu.
Mbuga ya Tsavo ambayo ina upana wa kilomita 1042 ni nyumbani kwa ndovu wengi nchini. Mbuga ya Tsavo Mashariki, Tsavo Magharibi, milima ya Chulu na hifadhi ya kitaifa ya Kitui zinapatikana kwenye ardhi hiyo kubwa.
We have about 36,000 elephants in Kenya. Out of that, 14,000 is found in Tsavo National Park. 50 years ago, Tsavo had about 40,000 elephants in the 1970s. This population dropped to about 6,000 in the 80s, majorly because of, number one, climate change. So there was, a very long drought in the 70s. And that drought alone resulted to the death of about 5,000 elephants. And then the other cause for the decline of elephants was poaching at the time. Now, the population have increased to about 14,000. But then when you look at the incidences of human-wildlife conflict, they are actually more now than when Tsavo used to have about 40,000 elephants. And the reason is because, of course, within that period, human population is increasing, and the people share this space with the elephants and other wildlife, and also because of the growing, economy, people require good infrastructure. So you would see big mega infrastructure, like for instance, the standard gauge railway that cuts across Tsavo ecosystem. There is a super highway that cuts across Tsavo ecosystem, and also other industries, like for instance mining. Because of all this, the migratory corridors that used to be open for elephants have now been blocked. And then the other impact of drought is that a lot of the water sources that used to exist in Tsavo ecosystem have now dried. Tsavo has 2 permanent rivers, the Voi River, the Galana River, and one seasonal river, the Tiva River. Now, apart from Galana River, the other rivers are dry during dry season. And species like elephant are water-dependent animals. If they don't get sufficient water in the park, of course they will go out, and then human-elephant conflict occurs.
Kuongezeka kwa idadi ya watu kumesababisha mzozo kati yao na binadamu kuchipuka kila mara. Hata hivyo, ongezeko la idadi ya watu linamaanisha kuwa njia za ndovu za kale za uhamiaji zinaendelea kuvunjika na kuharibiwa, na kusababisha kuongezeka kwa mzozo kati ya binadamu na tembo.
Elephants historically know their routes of migration and the routes that they use to move from one point to the other. And they of course understand the seasons and the places that they can have maybe water in a close area compared to going far distances from the park. Once such happens, you find 1 or 2 elephants going back into the community land, and normally it is not that too much as compared to the dry season. But they still try to follow their dispersal route, and probably they are migrating corridors to another given area. And that's why we have few cases of human-wildlife conflict during the rainfall season than during the dry season.
During prolonged drought, like for instance in 2009 and the recent one that we just came out of in 2022, most of these wildlife that are water dependent also, die in high numbers. In 2009, for instance, Tsavo lost about 300 elephants to drought alone. And therefore it is, very, very critical for conservation organization and also communities who live around these protected areas to think of how they can be able to coexist. And one way is to ensure that we have proper climate mitigation and adaptation measures in place, like provision of water pans for wildlife within the park, but also provision of water for livestock outside the park so that these animals can remain within the parks.
Ili kuokoa hali na kupunguza visa hivyo, serikali katika mwaka huu wa kifedha wa 2023-2024 imetenga pesa kusaidia kuchimba visima ndani ya mbuga.
The other issue that has caused human-wildlife conflict is actually ecological degradation within our protected areas like Tsavo. There are a number of invasive species that are now, slowly taking over some parts of the protected area, and these invasive species are not good forage for wildlife, and so wildlife sometimes move out to look for better forage.
Watunzaji wa wanyama na wa mazingira nao wanaitaka serikali iibuke na sera mpya ya ardhi katika mbuga ili kuzuia mzozo wa wanyama pori na binadamu.
When you look at the land ownership structure in Kenya, a lot of land that is around the protected areas like the ones in Tsavo are actually privately owned. And therefore no legal framework limits the communities from using this land for whatever land uses. In most cases you'll find that communities engage in livelihoods that are incompatible to conservation, like for instance, agriculture and others. And when that happens, then of course these animals will migrate and they will cause human-wildlife conflict.
Na pia mama, unaelewa umuhimu wa hizi ndovu?
Mimi sielewi na umuhimu wote, maana hazinilei. Wajua kama nitakuwa na umuhimu wa kuzijua hizi ndovu, ni kile kitu nikipewa hizo ndovu, nikipewa chakula niambiwe hiki chakula ni hizo ndovu zimekupa. Lakini sasa mimi sioni faida yoyote na hizo ndovu kabisa.
One of the ways in which we can tackle this is to ensure that communities benefit appropriately from conservation, and they see conservation as a competitive land use, a land use where they can be able to generate benefit from. So trying to understand this value chain and to ensure that communities can be able to tap into the value chains for wildlife is very, very critical.
Wangekuwa natutuza kama watu wa Masai Mara, unajua hata sisi tungeachilia hata kulima haya mashamba. Wao wanajua mtoto wangu anasoma nini, anasoma vipi, mimi ninakula nini, ninalala vipi. Nilienda hapo nikiwa kansela, nikaona watu wa pale hata wanyama wao wanachunga pamoja na wanyama wa pori na hawafukuzi. Tukauliza kwa nini, wakasema wanyama ndio wanatutunza hapa, ndio wanatulea, ndio wametuweka hapa. Tukauliza kwa nini hamlimi, wakasema hatuwezi lima kwa sababu tunatuzwa vizuri na hii nini Masai Mara. Kwa hivyo kama wangeweza kubadilisha na wao wawe marafiki wa wananchi, kuachilia haya mashamba, na hatungekuwa na shida kama hiyo nafasi imekuwa kidogo. Yes.
Juhudi za kupata kauli ya maafisa wa shirika la huduma kwa wanyamapori KWS kuhusu masaibu ya wakazi wa Taita Taveta ziligonga mwamba. Kipindi hiki ambapo ulimwengu unakumbana na changamoto kuhusu mabadiliko ya hali ya hewa, kuwatunza ndovu na wanyamapori ni kibarua kigumu, ikizingatiwa kuwa jamii zinazoishi karibu na mbuga pia zinastahili kuendelea na maisha kwa amani. Kwa sasa Kuna matumaini kuwa kizazi cha sasa kitapata elimu inayostahili iwapo mzozo kati ya wanyamapori na binadamu utapata utatuzi ili maisha yao yatengemaa. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
We've got unbeatable shows for the whole neighborhood to choose from.
I can have my happily ever after.
So stay connected to DSTV this holiday season to make the best entertainment yours. DSTV, it's your moment.
Mother, tell me the truth. Did you really patch things up with Mrs. Irene?
Yes, darling. Because now I understand that the love that you feel for each other is very strong. I promise you that I'm not going to oppose it anymore.
How should I know what that is?
Don't pretend. Morales brought this to you earlier. You are running DNA tests on someone to see if you have a child.
I don't want your brother rubbing the fact that you have no interest right into my face.
All right then. I'll do whatever you wish.
You better do what I wished. Not just because of that. It's your obligation.
Abdul and that woman are getting married. I came from there and she told me.
Head over heels.
How do you keep your toilets clean?
I use normal detergent and bleach for washing.
The detergent and bleach cleanless can leave behind yellowness, rust, and germs. Harpic's 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergents and bleach, and kills 99.9% illness-causing germs in your toilet, including the COVID-19 virus. My name is Wilfred Keboro. I'm the chairman of Nation Media Group. And my dream for Africa is that it will be a very economically advanced continent, where the intra-African trade will be at the highest level ever. Africa education level will have been at par with the rest of the world. A respected Africa, a free Africa, where we embrace democratic principles. Pussy Festival of Ideas is an open forum, is an honest forum to discuss about those issues as Africans, to see what is it that we need to do to be able to realize the dream that our forefathers had at the time of independence. I'll personally be there in Botswana, and I would urge all of you like-minded people, come and join us so that we can talk about Africa and see what we really need to do to put our continent where it needs to be.
Praise Atmosphere 2023 on the 9th of December at Sitam Karen, Nairobi from 2 p.m. onward, featuring Evelyn Wanjiru, Prosper Ochimana from Nigeria, Rehema Simfukwe from Tanzania, Edith Wairimo, Celestine Donkor from Ghana, Wilberforce Musyoka, Solomon Mukubwa, Kestin Bogo, and Sharon Ishavuka from Kenya. Regular tickets are available for just 1,000 shillings, 2,000 shillings at the gate. Visit www.praiseatmosphere.com/events or use paybill number 800-8575, account Praise.
As are we crossing over?
Hivyo vipeni vyako kidogo ndo umeamua uviharibu kwa mambo yasiyokuwa na maana. Oh please. Sina muda saizi. I'm busy. Unaweza enda?
Mama, kama ungekuwa umelea Tony kama mtoto wako wa kuzaa, haungekuwa unaingilia mambo yake ya muhimu kama haki ya kumchagulia bibi.
Hautamuongelesha mama hivyo.
Ningekushauri hivi. Badala ya kujali uamuzi wangu, shughulikia ndoa yako.
Unajua unachosema wewe?
Watch out for Safaricom Santa coming to a town near you with Christmas surprises. Sambaza furaha this Christmas na Safaricom.
Enter a world where knowledge is put into practice and the heart of African agriculture beats loudly and energetically.
Welcome to Kikao,
A revolutionary talk show that is changing how people think and look at agriculture in Africa.
this is the particular variety that is suitable.
We will seek to demystify GMOs.
Kikao is a platform where African agriculture takes center stage.
Seeds, just which is which.
From seasoned farmers to thought leaders, they direct us toward a future in which livelihoods thrive and nations prosper.
It became possible to move genes from unrelated organisms.
Kikao, every Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. only on NTV.
NTV, turning on your world. The following program has been rated GE. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
We clapped our hands and stomped our feet. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go, away we go, away we go. A rig-a-jig-jig and away we go. Hi ho, hi ho, hi ho.
Hi guys, I hope you're doing well. I'm excited because it's Generation 3 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Let's learn and have so much fun together. I'm your host, Trisha Dera. First of all, the highlights.
Nikipi kikusikitishacho? Nikipi kikusikitacho?
Today, I'm going to show you how to make a scrapbook.
What do you do at your free time? I'll tell you what I do. I watch videos because they are fun and educative. Well, let's have a look at one or some video.
Even just for a day, I'd roll out of bed in the morning and throw on what I wanted to know. Yeah, right. I put myself first and make the rules as I go. 'Cause I know that she'd be thankful waiting for me to come home. To come home. If I were a boy, I think I could understand.
Wakilisha, where we showcase different kids' talents. Every one of us has that one thing that we're good at. Well, let's have a look at Wakilisha.
Na shoti baba, give me space. I can't go seven. 1, 2, 3, go. Vimbada, 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 energy, energy, synergy, synergy. Your man a vimbada, 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 bada, 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 energy, energy, synergy, synergy. Vimbada, bad like a David. Watch and go there, look like a baby. Moji and Jabidi, we drop this a heavy. Increase the party, increase the raving. Wakiuliza, washo increase na jibamba kabisa. Tell them na jigamba kwa Jesus. When we think about what he has done for me, daily blessings coming. So na shukuru niko sawa, so mina vimbada. Na mpasifa kama kawa, so mina vimbada. Vimbada, 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 energy, energy, synergy, synergy. Your man a vimbada, 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 bada, 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 energy, energy, synergy, synergy. Okay, alright, ni shoti papa. Na ukincheki hapa, nimetoka pa, na kauna
time for Vibe Corner, where we have opinion question, tongue twisters, and riddles. But let's get started off with an opinion question.
I think dogs are better because they also protect us, and also they are also friendly, and they just have the vibe.
I think dogs are better than cats because they protect us at home, and they're also friendly, and they don't bite. They bite us sometimes, but I think they're better at home than cats.
Okay, I think dogs are better than cats because dogs are more protective, and they're really child friendly, and they're really awesome and fun.
I think cats are more better than dogs because cats are nice. They have smooth fur. I just like how they are, and they're cute, mostly kittens.
I prefer cats because they're cute, and they're not harmful like dogs. Some dogs.
Tongue twisters are not only fun to say, they also improve our pronunciation. And I'm sure you want to perfect yours. So let's start with this one.
Ni kipi kikusikitacho? Ni kipi kikusikitacho? Ni kipi kikusikitacho?
Ni kipi kikusikitishacho? Ni kipi kikusikitishacho? Ni kipi kikusikitishacho? Ni kipi kikusikitishacho?
Ni kipi kikusitikishacho? Ni kipi kikutisikacho? Ni kipi kikutisikacho?
Let's jog our minds with a riddle. What month has 28 days?
I think it's all months because they all have 4 weeks.
It's all month because all month have like 28 days.
I think it's all months because all months have 28 days.
I think it's all months because each month has 4 weeks.
All months because all months have 28 days.
What do you think the answer is? The answer to the riddle is at the bottom of your screen. Did you get it right? If you did, hooray! If you didn't, don't worry. We'll have another awesome riddle next Saturday. Who's ready to learn something awesome on phonology with Mwalimu Njogu? I know I am.
Hello boys and girls, time for phonology. My name is Mwalimu Njogu and I hope you're having an amazing time at home. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a scrapbook. A scrapbook is a book of blank pages where you stick pictures, drawings, anything. Maybe it's pictures of your project that you're doing at school. You stick that there and you don't have to buy it. So it's doable. You just need to have manila papers, put them together, cut them, put them together and make a scrapbook. So I'm going to show you from the first step to the last step. And to do that, we need manila papers, you need a yarn, you need a needle, a pair of scissors, and a pencil. So we're going to start with the first step, and the first step is to cut your papers according to your desired size. And my size, I would like mine to be this size, so you can fold it around 20 centimeters. So you fold it nicely, you fold it there, then do the same thing on the other side, fold it so that you can have a rectangular page. There we have it. Then we're going to cut off this part that we don't need. We don't need this area, so we're going to cut off this part using a pair of scissors. There. And I want our scrapbook to take the shape of a beautiful butterfly. So I'm going to draw a nice shape, an outline of a butterfly, then I cut it off so that it can have that beautiful shape of a butterfly. So to do that, I'm going to take my pencil, then sketch a butterfly, an outline of a butterfly nicely. There. Doesn't have to be 100%. There you go. Then you cut off so that you're left with a nice page. So we cut off this area along the outline using a pair of scissors. And there, so that when you open it, you're going to have that shape of a butterfly. Can you see it? It's starting to take shape. So we need to make around 10 of these. 10 of these. So I'm going to take the other papers of different colors. You fold them, then cut, fold, cut, fold, cut. So you make an outline here of a butterfly. There. You can use this one to help you. Use the sketch to draw an outline. Repeat the same thing using different colors. Then you cut off this part. You don't have to buy a scrapbook. You can make yours to your desired shape, size, according to what you want to do with it. You can see this is the second one. You can see it has the shape of a butterfly wings. You can see it is looking good. You can see. There you go. So we have yellow and we have blue. So you repeat this over and over and over until you have the required number of pages. So we have that. So we repeat the same thing. This manila paper. Draw the sketch of a butterfly using the outline that you've just made so that they can all be the same. They all look the same size and all that. So we do the same thing. So we cut off. So boys and girls, after making the number of pages that you need, you now join using a yarn and a needle, of course at the center. So you start from the center, hook hole, then you make a hole, a nice hole. And of course you can ask for help from your guardian, from your parent. There. When you do it one by one, it's easy. It's easy. So there we go. There. Very good. So there we go. Now repeat the same process. The other side. Then again, the other side. Through the same hole that you made the first time. Do this over and over so that all the pages can be entered, can be firmly put together at the middle. Then remember again, you can always ask for help from your parents or a guardian who is at home. You don't have to do it if you think it is dangerous, because safety should always be your #1 priority. Good, let me cut off this part. So boys and girls, ta-la-la-la-la-la-la, there we go. We have our scrapbook. It has different colors. It has a shape of a butterfly. You can see how beautiful it is. And I believe you can do this at home because it's doable. Till next time, bye.
We have come to the end of the first part of the show. I hope you're learning and having fun. We are taking a quick break, but we'll be back in a short while. In the meantime, enjoy this G3 jam.
Masaka kita Africana, fruta. Digi digi manore, digi digi.